It's July 21st, 2025. I meant to read this story like last year when I found it, and then I forgot about it. So we're going to do it today. I will have the link for where you can download the free PDF for this by the publisher in English and Spanish in the description. Let me just go to the website, and I can just read off the thing. Push the S key again. You can flip the keyboard to face you. Okay, there it is. Yeah, you can also just Google "Take Us to a Better Place," Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. That should take you to the thing. It'll show a little, I guess that's an iPad with a little illustration on it of a city and a horse and stuff like that. They got a free ebook and they list out all the things that are in it. This is a free book by the publisher, which is the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Yep. So they also have a free audiobook on SoundCloud. I don't know how SoundCloud works. I've never actually used it, but there's also a free audiobook. So yeah, and then you can get a PDF in English and Spanish. You can get it from Amazon and iBooks and Barnes. Let me click the Barnes and Nobles. I don't know what that's gonna do. Yeah, you can get free ebook, free audiobook, with whatever SoundCloud is, etc. We're going to be reading Obsolescence by Martha. Well, I'm going to be reading. You can follow along and you'll get to see my facial expressions. I'll read any of it out loud if it's particularly something one way or the other. This was published in 2018. It's in the Murderbot Diaries. I think I read 2 pages of it, and then I was like, no, I'll do a video. So that's what we're doing right now. So anyways, click the links in the description to get the PDF so you can follow along if you want, and then just keep scrolling until you get to Obsolescence. I'll read the first paragraph. Jixie heard the yelling and crying and headed down toward the maintenance bay with vengeance on her mind. She didn't know what those kids were doing, but this time somebody was going to get sent back to Mommy Land with a note reading, "I'm disruptive and a danger to myself and others," seal-taped to their forehead. So that's paragraph 1. And that's a fine first paragraph. That's a good starting point. I don't have any complaints. You know what, actually I will just read all the paragraphs and then I'll comment on them because this is from 2018, so December 1st, 2018. So she wrote this, or at least published this, after book 4 and stuff, and before publishing Compulsory, The Future of Work, which I thought had been written before book 1 of the Murderbot Diaries. Like, I thought this whole time that she wrote that first, and that was just here's some ideas I have, and then she wrote the rest of the series, but apparently I have that backwards. Also, my camera is filthy. There. May as well just clean my glasses at the same time. So, yeah, so this is set in the Murderbot Diaries. It was written, published at least, before book 5, 6, and 7 came out, etc. Anyways, if you have glasses, just get some microfiber cloths like this from Walmart. You can get them, or anywhere that they sell little microfiber glasses, because it's perfect for cleaning glasses and phone screens, but mostly glasses. Just obviously don't use it for other things. Like, okay, that's a fine first paragraph. I would have put another paragraph break in there, but it's fine. That was creepy. Something was moving in the corner of my eye with the camera. That's weird, unless it's my string, which I still have up there. Anyways, we're on paragraph 2 now. Let me put it in let's give a numbered paragraphs. Wrong button. Hold on. If you get the, yeah, you can read the PDF and whatever, and then increase the. I have to zoom in. Whatever. That's not important. When she dropped into the bay, Arnie smacked right into her, and in the light gravity knocked her back into the bulkhead. She thought he'd leapt on her to play fight while mistaking her for one of his friends, but then it registered that he was the one doing the sobbing. And this is where we start to get a bit of problems. Like, paragraph 1, we established that Jixie is hearing kids yelling and crying from the maintenance bay, so she starts going that way. And she's annoyed about it, and is like some person, like a babysitter or somebody who's in charge of keeping watch on the kids. Like, that's fine. That's a good starting point. But then we get to paragraph 2. She's teleporting to the bay. She's already arrived. And she dropped, it's described as her dropping into it. And then a kid named Arnie, presumably a kid, is smacking into her. And then that knocks her backwards, so she smacks into the wall. We should be getting a description of what the fuck the maintenance bay looks like before we teleport in there and start doing things. Paragraph 2 here should be just because it's just kind of baffling. They're just in a void right now. They're in a void, blank void, labeled maintenance bay. And it's just confusing. Like, you do have to describe your damn setting at some point, and it should be at the very start of your story so we know what is going on. And then Jixie hugged him automatically, looking past his... And that's kind of weird. That's a weird reaction to have, I gotta say, even if the kid is crying. Like, just automatically you're not... There's just multiple things you could be doing. But that could be establishing something about this character. Jixie hugged him automatically, looking past his wiry shoulders to see who the culprit was. She spotted Lily's hair first, a big dark poof, secured with a purple band, bouncing as Lily rapidly climbed up the light gravity bay toward her. So I guess poof is Martha Wells's new version of describing hair as fluffy. So presumably Lily is a black child, and we're describing her hair as a poof, which I guess is maybe an improvement besides just calling people's hair fluffy with no other description or context at all. Also, I still don't, like, she spotted Lily's hair first, bouncing as Lily rapidly climbed up the light gravity bay toward her. I don't know what is going on here. What is a light gravity bay? Like, if she had said, as Lily climbed up the ladder toward her or something, it's just we just need a description of what this place looks like. Paragraph 2 could have been, the maintenance bay was down a long hallway that the cries were echoing through directly into her tired ears, or something like that. Something like that. She would have to go down a floor through the blah ladder to get there, blah blah, and the gravity was different. Just something. Just give me any kind of context. This is still paragraph, but she couldn't imagine Lily doing anything to make Arnie cry like this. Then the incident response alarm jolted Jixie in the shoulder where her comm was secured. All the kids knew better than to hit it for something as minor as a play fight turned real. Jixie demanded, What the hell happened? Also, this should definitely be split into multiple paragraphs. Then the response alarm jolted Jixie in the shoulder. That should be a new paragraph. Also, what do you mean it's jolting her in the shoulder? Oh, okay. I'm getting texts. That's what was appearing in the corner of my eye. That should be a new paragraph. And what does it mean that it's jolting her? Are there comm badges gonna fucking give them mini electric shocks? Yeah. And then we just go immediately into the kid saying, "It's Greggy. He's hurt." Lily reached, I'm not sure, I guess Lily is the one who's talking. Lily reached her, catching the overhead handlebar. Her dark eyes were big with shock, and her throat moved like she was swallowing back the urge to vomit. Something hurt him. Jixie's heart sunk. That should be sank. But that's a thing. Jixie's heart sunk through her stomach as her adrenaline ramped up. An accident, then. A bad one. She disentangled Arnie and pulled the comm off her shoulder to check that Lily had also hit the code for a medical emergency. She had, smart kid. "Where is he?" Jixie swung forward. "No, baby, you stay here with Arnie. Just point." And I have more first of all, it's very noticeable that everybody here has a name that ends in a Y sound, if not a Y. Arnie ends in IE. Greggy is a Y. Jixie, JIXY. I hope we're going to get some explanation for why everybody's name ends this way. It could be an interesting cultural thing, but this dialogue here is weird. The "where is he" followed immediately by Jixie swung forward, and then immediately followed by "No, baby, you stay here with Arnie, just point." There's a way that you can use dialogue to convey another character's actions, but it's not done well here. That just seems to come out of nowhere. Like, you kind of have to be in the middle of a longer conversation for something like that to work, or doing something else besides what this is doing here. There's many times you can use dialogue to convey, in response to somebody else's actions, what that other character is doing without telling us, but it doesn't work here. We should have seen, this dialogue here is just not worked in very well at all. It's just bad. Should have just told us that Lily started to go back down into wherever she just came out of, and then Jixie has to go forward and gently pull her back, and then say that, etc. Lily pointed down and back toward the entrance of the second-level tech storage compartments.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah, that's a lot of words, but, alright, that could be fine. Jixie pulled herself along the ladder, her feet floating behind her, and we just go straight from that up there to this. It just seems like more teleportation, because she had been hugging these children, and we could I am going to nitpick everything, because I'm a writer, and there's so many ways to do this better. We should have gotten a little single sentence of, she told the children to go further away from wherever this is, go somewhere else. Just go somewhere else. Just get away from the scene of the accident. Go play in your rooms. Something. Not like that.
Get someone else.
Yeah. Go find the medic. The medics are already on their way. We established that. But, just say that she's telling them, go to your room so everybody knows where you are. Something like that. But we just go from they're talking and then she's teleporting, and Jixie pulled herself along the ladder, her feet floating behind her. And then, is she going down? Because her feet floating above her would convey. Is she going down? Is she going sideways? Is she going up from where, in what direction is she going now compared to what she was before now? This was spoke 4, and she was moving toward the end that connected with the center shaft, well away from the gravity created by the spin of the station's outer ring. She reached the first storage compartment and looked inside. But that's not actually telling me what the setting looks like. That's telling me, in general, there's a space station, but that was already guessable. Blood floated in the air, but there wasn't much of it. Most of the globules were the light gray augment fluid. Then she saw Greggy drifting in the center of the compartment. So I have to say, it takes me reading a book that's not even being advertised as part of the Murderbot Diaries to just find out one of the most basic details about our protagonist, which is that the fucking blood in Murderbot's robot parts is light gray. Because we've just been getting told that it's bleeding fluids, unspecified fluids from its fucking cybernetic parts, but we've never even so much as been told what fucking color that was. For the hell of it, I decided it was neon green and blue, because that would just be fucking fun. But now I'm finding out in this story that's not advertised anywhere, but is part of the Murderbot diaries, that it's light gray. That's so boring. And, like, why... And again, it's just the complete lack of descriptions for basic fucking information throughout all of her writing. We should know what color Murderbot's fucking blood is. Light gray. It would be so fucking simple. Murderbot stared down at blah. Red was mixed. The red of my human parts blood was mixing with the light gray of my fucking bot parts. There it is. So simple. Anyways. Gashes marred the metal cage of his chest. His limbs, I do have to say, people use cage to describe a chest in multiple ways. If this is meant to be literal, which I don't know yet, I don't know if this is literal or metaphorical, and that should be made clear, because the summary is talking about an augmented human being murdered, which means this person is a cyborg. So is this a literal cage of steel around his chest, or what? Gashes marred the metal cage of his chest. His limbs had twisted, the flesh ones still covered... Oh, I guess I should say... yeah, this is just going to be a really graphic description of a dead body for a physically disabled person in a way that no other dead bodies have ever been described in a Martha Wells story that I've read, including all of the Murderbot diaries, where people die all the time. Gashes marred the metal cage of his chest. His limbs had twisted, the flesh ones still covered by the sleeves of his uniform coverall, but the three metal appendages that had replaced his legs were broken into bits. As he drifted, Jixie found herself staring into a terrible wound on the side of his head. The bone shattered, the metal peeled open, broken through to his brain. ... Also, we're starting off with a cyborg, physically disabled person, being murdered. His dead body described in detail. I don't think this protagonist is another cyborg or physically disabled. So Martha Wells is just adding on to her heaps of ableism. I don't care if Jixie is sad that Greggy is dead. Bury your disabled is a fucking trope, and this just seems like it's going to be fucking playing into that, because Martha Wells is ableist. Also, there was somebody in the fucking summary, let me go back to it, labeled, yeah, a semi-mystical figure called Piecework has been blamed for similar attacks on other stations. That is not in any fucking way, because that's piecework as in pieces. Piecework. So I'm just gonna guess right now that the killer is a scary, physically disabled person who is going around stealing other people's body parts. Because ableism. Let's demonize physically disabled people. That's my guess right now on paragraph 9. Something happened to his old bot parts, Jixie thought, even as her stomach tried to surge up her throat. Something exploded. That is a wild fucking conclusion to come to. That shouldn't be possible. Augments didn't explode, even augments as old as Greggy's. Something near him must have exploded, or broken free and hit him. But there was nothing like that in the compartment. No blast damage, no floating debris, ... except for Greggy. And then we get a little paragraph break thingy, which is a little, in the PDF, it's a little drawing of a hand. This is a French name, so I don't know how to say it. Jixie had Dubar, their general fixer, go over the bay to figure out the cause of the accident while she and Shen Jean, the medic, took care of poor Greggy. calling him poor Greggy is not helping Martha Wells. That's just very infantilizing and objectifying, like he's a poor little dog. Like, that's not conveying sorrow. That's conveying, look at that animal, the dead. Look at that poor dead deer in the road. That's not helpful. This meant retrieving all the bits of him that were floating in low gravity and using a vacuum tool to suck up the blood and fluid. Jixie had done a lot of jobs in her life, but she'd never had to clean up the body of a friend like it was floating garbage. She kept shaking, and her fingers were freezing. It wasn't cold in the bay, so it had to be shock. Shen Jean kept wiping her face on her sleeve, her tears unable to fall in the light gravity. "You okay?" Jixie asked her, and her voice came out as a raw rasp. We're still not even getting a description of, like, what this place looks like. It's just weird. Let me see. And also no description of this other person, Shen Jean, at all. "Yeah, this just happened, Jixie. He was still warm." Shen Jean didn't usually look anywhere near 72, but at the moment you could see every year on her face. "He told me the other day he thought he needed another component refit. So this is a 72-year-old woman. Probably not going to get a single other description of what she looks like." "He did?" This dialogue is just really weird. And then, not dialogue anymore. "Greggy had been an exploration rover for the lunar government for over 80 years and had helped..." This is, if you remember, like I do, the extreme... Yeah, they don't. If you at all recollect the extremely fucking specific reference to rovers, cyborg rovers, that was mentioned as being found in Preservation's archives because Murderbot was watching a documentary about it that said it was a historical documentary, and...
I don't know why this just popped into my head, but would you like to know my brand new, as of this second, prediction for how the Murderbot Diaries series went?
Sure, but you probably have to talk louder or lean over the cardboard.
They can either hear it or they can't. Preservation is going to turn out to be Earth. And they've been searching for it all this time. And it was the planet we made all along. Or
the real Earth was the blah.
The thing we preserved for future generations. Blah. We've done it. We found Earth, everybody.
A quest that nobody was on until 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
They found Earth off screen, guys. So there was literally no point in you reading this whole entire book.
Anyways, that's my as of this moment prediction.
Anyways, yeah, if you also, like me, remember the extremely fucking specific historical documentary that Murderbot was watching on Preservation or thinking about watching about augmented humans had been turned into exploration vehicles, and this one was labeled as a historical documentary or a historical drama, and I wasn't sure what that meant, and blah blah blah, and it was about somebody who was turned into one of these things and then I guess didn't have any memories of their life before they got turned into this thing, but then the people on their team had been friends with them. Do you remember that? Because I do, and I was like, what the fuck TV show is she referencing? Because it was so specific. Like, I'm like, this cannot just be something that's just being made up on the spot. This has to be referencing something. And the answer is it's referencing this thing that we don't, that
does not actually exist.
That like 99.99% of the fandom is unaware of the existence of. Because Martha Wells does mention this on her website, but she doesn't link to the free PDF or the website page where you can get either free PDF, because it's in English and Spanish, which is fantastic. But it's just so fucking weird. It's like, why don't you tell people about this? Is it because it's free and you can't get money from it anymore? Because, whatever. Greggy had been an exploration rover for the lunar government for over 80 years and had helped build the early settlements on Luna and Mars. When all surviving rovers had been pensioned off 22 years ago, Greggy had spent a month in a hospital, having many of his outdated specialized augments replaced. At that point, Greggy could have used his pension to settle down in a cushy habitat somewhere, but he had kept working and ended up on Kidland Station as a teaching... Is this going to be Space Babies? Kidland Station as a teaching assistant. He had told Jixie that he had been a teacher back on Earth, in his first life, before the rover program. He was great. Had been great with kids. It's like, so, okay, so we're back. We are all the way back in the goddamn solar system. And, yep. Jixie felt her... also, gee, I wonder who the fucking murderer is. Wow, I just can't figure it out. And, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing if this is supposed to be a murder mystery, but, like, there should be at least a little bit of mystery and suspense. It's very clear that the murderer is going to be another former fucking rover whose parts are falling apart. And it's like, okay, but maybe don't demonize physically disabled people, Martha Wells. Jixie felt her throat getting tight again. Shen Jean, sadly studying the photo on Greggy's torn ID badge, wasn't helping. Why? Why is that not? That's mean. You're just being mean to Shen Jean now.
She's looking sadly at a picture.
Yeah, other person is looking sadly at a picture, and Jixie's like, oh my gosh, that's not helping me. It's like, okay, well, maybe it's not about you. Jixie added, you think it was something internal then? Maybe her first impression had been right. A power source in one of Greggy's old augments had malfunctioned. And again, you see the, like, it's good that we got some fucking backstory. Maybe don't be interrupting all the dialogue like that, though. No, Shen Jean said, then frowned. She carefully tucked the badge into a pocket and sealed the flap. So much damage, it had to be... And then she gets cut off.
That's how you do suspense, right?
Then from the... that was me getting a drink. Then from the other end of the compartment, Dubert said quietly, this wasn't an accident. Huh? Jixie grabbed a support and turned. We still have no context for what kind of room they are in and what kind of support she's grabbing. Like, I'm just imagining them floating in a void. Dubert... Hold on. I'm about to have to turn the page, so I don't know which way I have to go again. Okay. Dubert was holding a bolter used for heavy construction, studying Greggy's head, still attached to his floating body. Jixie couldn't look at the body, so she focused on the tool. She wasn't sure exactly what kind of bolter it was, but she knew a Category 3 safety violation when she saw one. It shouldn't be here, not on a completed, occupied station. Also, just for the record, Martha Wells really likes the idea of killing somebody with a drill mining tool that takes out a core sample. She's done that twice. I won't be surprised if it happens again. It shouldn't be here, not on a completed, occupied station. Where the hell did that come from? Jixie wondered. Had Greggy brought it in and had Greggy brought it in and it somehow... Let me zoom in. Had Greggy brought it in and it had somehow misfired and killed him? No, that was stupid. One misfire wouldn't do that, and she could see from here its cartridge was empty. And where would he have gotten it? Well, I mean, if the cartridge is empty, that might mean it has been fired. Multiple times. Unless it only has one bolt. And where would he have gotten it? It couldn't have come in on a supply run without being flagged in the inventory system as a hazardous item. Like, that's... Yeah, the cartridge is missing. That kind of implies it has been fired. That's like saying, oh, that gun has no magazine. That means it couldn't possibly have been fired. And it's like,
no bullets in the
there's
chamber.
no bullets in that gun. Therefore, it couldn't have been fired. It's like, okay, you do understand that the point of a gun is let the bullets leave it, right? Dubert's expression held growing consternation and disbelief. He said, you're going to need to do an autopsy, Shen Jean. This dialogue is weird. What was the last sentence before that? Okay, that's so bad. This wasn't an accident. Huh? You're going to need to do an autopsy, Shenjin, as his expression, the guy talking, his expression held growing consternation and disbelief. That's really weird. He's not, like, nobody was arguing with him, so why is his consternation increasing? What? Oh, no, that's a question mark. The font in this PDF is fucking weird, and I don't like it. I don't think it'll let me change it. Is there a button? Yeah, I don't like whatever font this is. What? Shenjin said. Let me just Alright, scroll. Alright, whatever. Huh? Jixie said again, then her brain slammed back into gear. I've been stupid! I should have thought of this first! Of course you have. Of course you have. Of course. Of course. We always gotta do this. We'll just say that the characters have made a mistake. With no evidence on screen to actually let us realize that they are making a mistake before they do it. We just get told.
I made a mistake.
And now Jixie is gonna pull something completely fucking random out of nowhere with no way for us, the audience, to have ever seen it coming or have any way to have figured it out ourselves. Because Martha Wells, it's like that one free audiobook story that the author Megan Linsky, I will mention you by name. You can go listen to her free books. They're on YouTube. She uploads them. They're professionally voice acted. But the problem with those, besides the homomizia that just came out of nowhere in the last book, like, fuck you, I was going to buy your books, until you did not only the bury your gays trope, not only stereotyped all the gay people, but then you even fucking made it so that the gay people you killed off are not getting the fucking kind of grave that is going to let them go to the afterlife. So fuck you. Anyways, the problem with her things and with Martha Wells things, it's a common fucking problem, is there's monsters in that thing that people fight with swords and stuff for some reason. And anytime one appears, it's just like being pulled out of a hat. We are never given any list of monsters that anybody could encounter. Like, oh, there's a bunch of things in this area. Just tell us the name. There's no setup. There's nothing to ground these monsters that appear out of nowhere and are never seen again to the world. We don't get a list of names. We don't see anybody mention even just the name of the monster beforehand. We don't get any badly done third person who saw it, or story of a story, somebody trying to describe a monster but getting it wrong, and then the monster shows up and we recognize some of those things, and etc. That's what's about to happen here.
Is your prediction?
That's my prediction. We're just gonna get some random new information that we could never have seen ever, and it's gonna be held up as like, yeah,
Genius.
Something.
Genius.
It sure is gonna be something. That's what I'm trying to say here. Huh? Jixie said again. Then her brain slammed back into gear. I've been stupid. I should have thought of this first. She pulled on the support to draw herself closer to the body. Show me. Dubert gently turned Greggy's head and held up the bolter. Right on the sharp end was a clot of blood and brain matter, mixed with short strands. Okay, but this is we were told specifically she was looking at the fucking bolt gun because she didn't want to look at the body. And she didn't fucking notice the blood and brains and hair on the end of the tool that she was very specifically looking at. Like, it's not even like she was all the way across the room. I'm pretty sure they're all, like, standing in a smallish area, floating maybe. They're all in an area together. Are you telling me she looked at this weapon specifically and didn't notice any of the really obvious stuff on it? Like,
That's the part where
Jixie-
she's an idiot.
Huh?
That's the part where she's an idiot.
No, that's the excuse. Jixie had seen the gash and hadn't understood the gash in Greggy's head, because that should be explained. Jixie had seen the gash and hadn't understood what she was looking at. With the tool for comparison, now she saw. Her heart dropped. Oh, not this. And again, we're gonna get random thing. Shen Jin whispered, why would, okay, why, where was this tool found, and why, whatever. Why didn't she notice any of this shit when she was specifically looking at the tool? Like Martha Wells, you could have just said, looking at Dubert would have required looking at Greggy, and she didn't want to do that, so she kept her eyes averted. Just say that. You can't tell us specifically that she's looking at the tool, but not noticing the blatant, extremely important details on that tool.
The
like
extremely
the
gory
fact,
details
yeah,
on
the
that.
extremely gory, bloody details on there. Martha Wells has never described a dead body like this, and the only reason she's doing it now is because it's a scarily, physically disabled person. Jixie thought about all of them, the adult staff and the kids of assorted ages, and her heart just wouldn't have it. It was impossible. The alternative that, what, are we, is that sentence supposed to be about? This is so weird. Shen Jin whispered, why would, also didn't we already establish that it might have been an accident where Greggy accidentally fired the fucking thing and killed himself? Also, we shouldn't be ruling out suicide. It could literally be a suicide. But whatever.
No, Martha Wells' character.
The alternative that it was, Jixie thought about all of them, the adult staff and the kids of assorted ages, and her heart just wouldn't have it. It was impossible. Also, so this is clearly some, like, babysitting space station. Why are kids allowed to run around with free range in the maintenance bay? That's the kind of area that should be off limits to children. Like, did these children escape from the child safety zone? Because now I'm questioning these people's fucking credentials. Also, why would you send your kids to be babysat on a space station? Why would you do that? Unless you live in space entirely and there's no planet nearby, why would you send your kids to get babysat in space? That's just asking for bad things. The alternative, that it wasn't one of them, was equally impossible. Except it obviously wasn't, because here was Greggy's dead body. She swallowed back bile. Bag the rest. We got to get to command. You were already bagging it. It's not like you stopped, or were planning to leave the body there. And then we have another little line break with a little robot-y hand, maybe. Jixie ordered everyone to the command module. Is she in charge? She's ordering everybody to get to the command module. Is she in charge? Because that's kind of weird that she's the one who has to go chasing after the kids then. Jixie ordered everyone to the command module. Most were there already, since it was standard training to go there in an emergency and wait for instructions. All the modules were along the ring in the gravity zone, and Jixie felt heavier than usual as they took the lift up the spoke into the ring. Just using they there was making me confused about what Jixie's pronouns are, because I read that as a singular pronoun instead of a multi-pronoun. Could have said, and Jixie felt heavier as she, insert other characters' names who were coming with, took the lift. That would just make more sense there. While Dubert and Shen Jin took poor Greggy to the infirmary, so she's not even in the elevator with them. So who's this they were referring to in the elevator? Jixie asked the education admin Tia Joy to do a head count to make sure everyone was here. Then she ducked into the admin center. I'm confused. Okay, so they are going. So they were in the middle of the gravity thing. Now they're the space station, and now they're going out to the outer ring. While Dubert and Shen Jin took poor Greggy. Stop calling him that! Stop calling him that. Stop calling him poor Greggy. That's just fucking infantilizing. To the infirmary, Jixie asked the education admin Tia Joy to do a head count to make sure everyone was here, and then she ducked into the admin center. Is Tia Joy also in the admin center, and then Tia Joy has to do a head count for people in the admin center? Why don't they have, this is the space future, why don't you have some kind of counter on the door that scans people's code passes as you come in, so it does an automatic head count for you, and it could literally, that could literally cause, I'm just now imagining a thing where that is a thing, you could cause so much suspense, and you could have a little screen up top that shows that people who are missing, and then like a map shows where they are. That could be a thing, because we're in the sci-fi future. The first thing they taught you in station admin emergency response was the phrase hull integrity, life support, communication. Jixie was in uncharted territory here, but decided communication needed to go first. What do you mean? She initiated an emergency call to base admin and recorded a brief description of what they had found and what they were afraid it meant. She knew she sounded shaken, but for once she didn't care. Somebody who knew what they were doing needed to get the hell here and take charge. We should be seeing that scene. We should see her describing exactly what it is that what has happened and what they think it means, instead of just keeping that information from us for no reason. With the transmission lag, it would take time for base to respond. It was going to be a nerve-wracking wait. She planted her hands on the console. Right, what's next? What console, though? Again, they're just in a void. They're in a void that is now labeled admin center. We don't know what this looks like. Safety. She had to make sure they were secure up here before she command-sealed everything. She called Sully and asked them to take the group to search the module. Okay, what are we searching for? Sully replied, and this is part of the same paragraph, and again, Martha Wells... What year did I say this story's from? This is from 2018. You're supposed... Okay, if character A is doing something at the start of a paragraph, and you want character B to speak, character B's dialogue needs to go in a new paragraph. It just adds basic clarity. That was a good question. Reluctant to admit what she thought was happening out loud, Jixie said slowly, "Do a rescue search." Because we're just gonna have... This is exactly the plot of System Collapse, where we just don't tell the audience what it is that Murderbot has supposedly gone through, which I do not believe for one fucking second, especially with what is revealed in rapport, blah, 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 blah. We're just gonna keep saying, oh, something scary, they think something scary has happened, but she doesn't want to admit it out loud or to the narration, because if we tell the readers, they'll realize that it's not actually scary, and they will be mad at me for making them waste their time. That's the entirety of the first literal 100 pages of System Collapse. She spent literally 100 pages stringing us along by saying that redacted happened to Murderbot. And then it's literally nothing.
Nothing.
And not even nothing. It's a thing that probably didn't actually fucking happen. Like, legitimately, it probably did not actually fucking happen. It's probably just art playing abusive, fucked up mind games with Murderbot, because the only evidence in quotation marks that this thing happened is that art said so. 0 other fucking people in the entire thing witnessed it. So it probably did not fucking happen. There was a long silence. That was the search protocol for a missing person, someone who was hurt and stuck somewhere. It meant looking in every spot a person could conceivably conceal themselves in, intentionally or not. Then Sully took a sharp breath. "Will do, Jixie." Jixie signed off. Wait, what do you mean signed off? I thought this Sully person was right there in the room. Like, it said she called Sully and asked them to take a group to search the module. So is Sully non-binary? When it says she called Sully, I thought this meant that Sully was coming to the room. Apparently it's just a telephone call. You gotta specify that. Everybody's been moving around physically so far. Jixie signed off. The command module wasn't very big, so it shouldn't take them long. Now she needed to figure out how this had happened. If something small had managed to slip in past the scan buoys and attach to the hull, it might show up on the maintenance stats. Just all the things.
Not saying anything to the actual reader, so it can be a reveal.
Yeah, we're literally just concealing information from us to act like it's gonna be some big scary reveal, and it's like, okay, but it doesn't work because we've never been in this setting before, this specific setting before. We have no context for this scary, physically disabled serial killer who's definitely named Piecework, which is obviously what's going on. If something small had managed to slip in past the scan buoys and attach to the hull, it might show up on the maintenance stats. She pulled the log and checked it, once hurriedly, and then slow and careful. No anomalies on the hull. Of course not, Jixie muttered aloud. I hate PDFs. I don't understand why magazines and PDF things like putting their text in columns. You're just making me have to scroll sideways instead of sideways and down instead of just down. Why should anything about this be easy, she thinks to herself. It's like, again, every time Martha Wells has a character complain that things are not being made easy for them, it's just a lie. These people are not going to have any actual difficulties. We're just going to get told that they're making mistakes and that things are difficult. But the sensors were meant to look for leaks and damage. A small vehicle or even a powered suit might go unnoticed, and the operator could get in through one of the locks while it was in an open cycle for an automated delivery. Okay, well maybe you should update your fucking sensors if you can't fucking sense people in spacesuits out there. You were just talking about emergency systems. What the fuck is the point in sensors for your ship if they can't detect if somebody's in a fucking spacesuit? You've already had kids running around in your maintenance bay. What if the kids decided to fucking put on a spacesuit and go for an EVA as a joke? You wouldn't be able to find them? And people send their kids here?
Like that story about two kids who just take a spaceship on a joyride and get lost on a moon for hundreds of years. Maybe not hundreds of years.
Are you talking about the one I described to you? Or?
I think it was a separate one. I was trying to look up a thing to quote, and then I just found that one by accident.
Okay. Stations weren't made to be impregnable because there was no reason to be. You assumed anybody showing up and wanting in would either have scheduled their arrival in advance or be desperate for help and trying to draw as much attention as possible. What was happening now was just weird and creepy and ... Jixie had never seen anything like it. What are we talking about? Because, like, what was happening now was just weird and creepy. Like, what? The lack of... This is weird. And ... Jixie had never seen anything like it. Maybe
Restart the paragraph. What?
This is a big paragraph. It's a very big paragraph. Stations weren't made to be impregnable because there was no reason to be. You assumed anybody showing up and wanting in would either have scheduled their arrival in advance or be desperate for help and trying to draw as much attention as possible. What was happening now was just weird and creepy and ... Jixie had never seen anything like it. Maybe in the bigger stations like Mommyland, the Central Hospital Station, and the Io and Titan mining depots, but Kidland was part school and part work center for staff who needed low-impact assignments due to age or medical reasons. They helped the kids do their education courses, taught them station jobs, and did the light work that kept the station running as a supply transfer point. This kind of thing, pretty much any kind of thing at all, never happened here. That's a long paragraph that should not be that long because that needs to be split up in so many places. I don't understand what we're referencing in regards to ships appearing or not appearing as being weird and creepy, because it's just weird. That's pretty fucking incoherent. Also, that paragraph needs to be broken up into multiple points. Also, we could have gotten this information about what they do on this station at the start. The very start of the story. Very simple fucking exposition, instead of trying to insert it into the story in ways that don't work and are just confusing. At least this is, I will say one thing, at least this is completely free. So nobody, hopefully, is wasting money on it. But who knows? Martha Wells, what did they change the price for book 1, the ebook to?
It's like almost $11.
Yeah, the first Murderbot book used to cost $2 as an ebook because it's only 30,000 words long, and now it costs $10 even though it's the exact same thing. And the only reason the price is increasing is because the series is more popular because of the Apple TV show that Martha Wells sold out to profit from fucking white supremacy with a smile. And yeah, I won't be shocked if she then starts selling this story for $10. Just because, yep. Her comm beeped, and Tia Joy said, "Head count's complete. Everyone's here." There was a hesitation. Then she admitted, "Sorry for the delay. I was coming up one short, and then remembered the total included Greggy." And it's like, but shouldn't Jixie be counted in this head count too? And then it should be also coming up short because she's not in the same room as everybody else? Like, you don't know. She could have gotten eaten by a xenomorph in between her saying, "Do a head count," and you calling her and her actually responding. She could be dead right now. You don't fucking know. Jixie rubbed her face. "I think we're all going to be doing that for a while. Thanks, Joy." Joy signed off. Jixie was glad her first impulse had been to order everyone up here. Maybe part of her brain had been working despite the shock. Now that she was certain nobody was off somewhere working and ignoring comms, she put the station in emergency mode. Every hatch outside the command module would be sealed and alarmed, and it would take an admin code to get through. But I can guarantee you that the evil, scarily physically disabled serial killer is just going to be able to open them all with zero thought or difficulty, because that's what Martha Wells, and it's going to be bad. Jixie braced herself for a second, then pasted a calm, confident expression on her face. She pushed away from the console and stepped out of the admin center. From the foyer and again, that was just a completely blank room. We don't know what it fucking looks like. It's a room. It's called the admin center. It has some kind of computer in there. From the foyer platform, she could see down into the big lounge, where the bench seats along the walls, the floor, and the couches in the 2 entertainment kiosks were mostly full of kids, with a few adults scattered through. How many adults to kids is the ratio aboard a fucking space station? Because I'm gonna guess it is not good enough. There was a smaller secondary lounge off the mess hall where the others would be gathered. Everyone seemed confused, upset, restless. But I thought the point of this was to get every single person in the same part of the space station, but now there's people in 2 different parts, so how is that helpful? Greggy had told her how comfortable he found it here, as opposed to the new habitats. Rovers were few and far between now, and people just weren't used to seeing them anymore. But most of the adults on Kidland were old enough to have worked exploration or construction in the Mars tunnels, and just about everybody had prostheses or internal medical augments of some kind. Every single fucker in this fandom who has tried to able-explain to me that augmented humans aren't disabled people. They're not meant to represent disabled people. They're not disabled. You owe me $50 fucking dollars. Like, just a basic bare minimum literary media literacy. You owe me $50. You cannot have cyborgs and say that the cyborgs have nothing to do with disabled people, physically disabled people. Just shut up. You genuinely have no fucking clue what you're talking about. If you think cyborgs have nothing to do with disabled people is a reasonable sentence to say. Shut up. Where'd it go? And just about everybody had prostheses or internal medical augments of some kind. None were as old as Greggy, of course, but they were old enough to remember watching news stories about the heroic rovers founding the first bases on Luna and Mars. Jixie wasn't, but she'd been born on Mars and studied them as history. At 35, she was also the youngest adult on Kidland Station. So it's good that we're establishing that most fucking people here are physically disabled in some way and have some kind of fucking cybernetic augments.
Imagine
because
if they'd gotten that when these characters are first entering the scene and should have
yeah,
been described.
we should be getting fucking descriptions of these people, but I don't even know what Jixie looks like. We've not gotten a single description. Tia Joy, standing near the entrance to the lounge, spotted Jixie and stepped into the foyer. Sully and this name is spelled A-A-R-T-I. I don't know if that's just pronounced Artie, or if you're supposed to pronounce that a different name. Let me Google that name, see what comes up. Can I get a pronunciation? I spelled the word pronunciation correctly. You're just giving me the definition. That's not pronunciation. Alright, I found a Google video. Or YouTube video. Same fucking thing. We're gonna all listen to it.
If you're looking to learn how to pronounce this word correctly, keep watching this video.
Hurry up.
This word is pronounced as Arti. Let's practice together.
Hurry up.
Arti.
So, Artie. You say it longer. Sully and Artie came in from the other direction. Both looked worried, but Sully told her, and again with the pronouns thing, by using Sully told her after just referencing Sully and Artie, now that her must be referencing, if it's not referencing Sully, which it's not because Sully is the one talking to this her being referenced, now that her must reference back to Artie. So, but now there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 names mentioned in this paragraph. Let me just read it again. Tia Jones, standing near the entrance to the lounge, spotted Jixie and stepped into the foyer, period. Sully and Artie came in from the other direction, period. Both looked worried, comma, but Sully told her, just gotta do it correctly. We've searched. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Keeping her voice low, Tia Joy cut right to the chase and said, "Did someone get aboard and do this? How could that happen?" And again, with the pronouns. Keeping her voice low, just say, Tia Joy kept her voice low, as she said. Just basic clarity. Just because keeping her voice low was, and then just the shape of the T as compared to the top of the capital J, I was expecting Jixie to be the one talking. Just connect the pronouns to the proper noun that is being fucking referenced properly. Keeping her voice, oh yeah, I already read that. Jixie hadn't expected to keep it quiet, but she had hoped for a little, I have to scroll fucking zigzaggly, more time than this. She said, "That's what I'm trying to figure out." Because again, we're just continuing to withhold information from the reader so that we can pretend it's going to be some big, scary, dramatic reveal that's totally meaningful, audience. "It's happened before," Sully said. As Joy and Artie turned to look at them, they added, "On Juno Outrimmer 3-4, thieves got aboard and stole supplies." They shrugged uncomfortably. "We didn't find out till they were gone, though, and no one got hurt." Greggy must have stumbled onto them, tried to stop them, Artie said, sick at the thought. Why are you telling us that? No, again.
It's like clearly
Again. Third person limited perspective means that we should not be getting told that Artie is sick at the thought. You can say she looks sick at the thought. You can say her face looked green. She looked sick. You can't just state it as fact that she's sick at the thought because we're not following her perspective. We are stuck to Jixie. We're stuck behind Jixie's shoulder, watching in third person, hearing some of her thoughts as she goes through this. We are not following Artie. We're stuck to Jixie. This just basic crap. Martha Wells does the majority of it in limited third person, and if you're going to do limited third person, you got to stick to it. She doesn't want to, though. Ugh, it's just basic shit. Come on, don't do this. It's not good. Sliding in between Sully and Artie, Lily said, what, the child? The child, Lily? Sliding in between Sully and Artie, her teachers, Lily said, we need to be detectives. Her expression was determined. Are you telling me it's an emergency and these children are not all, kept in groups of however many with their assigned fucking camp counselor, and that this child is allowed to just wander off and go talk to the leadership people who are presumably up in some leadership-y thingy? Because wasn't Jixie just standing out looking out? She's standing on a foyer platform. Yeah, Tia Joy had to step into the foyer, and so did Sully and Artie. So this kid Lily is able to, in a fucking emergency that has called everybody on the entire space station into 2 locations, is allowed to just wander around freely around this location, and just go up to the leadership people instead of staying with whatever group her camp counselor is. I'm just calling them that. Like this, don't send your child to this fucking babysitting space station. They can't even keep your children out of the maintenance bay. They can't even keep your kids contained with their camp counselor in an emergency. What the fuck?
A killer on the station.
There's possibly a fucking murderer loose on the space station, and these people can't even keep your kid into her fucking seat. What is going on? Lily, I told you not to speculate about this, Tia Joy said, firm but kind. You need to sit down and finish your juice. What is... How old is this child? Who the fuck decided that these people were qualified for this? How old is this... Okay, how old is this child that you're telling them not to speculate, but then... So they're old enough to grasp the word speculate, but young enough that you're telling them to go and drink their juice. What's happening here? And why... Like we could be making a point about how the space station... Nobody here is qualified for this job and are endangering all of these children that they cannot even keep contained during an emergency. Like, for all they know, the space station could get blown up in 5 seconds. I drank the juice, Lily protested. Also, for the record, if you're not following all along, Lily has 3 L's. Lilly, just for the record. I drank the juice, Lily protested. That's for shock. I don't have shock. This kid found a dead body. Jinxie wished she didn't have shock. She hoped her competent admin expression was convincing as she said, Base will send somebody soon. She told Joy, Artie, and Sully, just ... make sure the others stay calm. But that child is still standing there. Nobody's actually sending her back, or getting somebody to escort her back to where her fucking camp counselor is, who needs to be fired. Just... Yeah, so just while the rest of this conversation continues, just imagine Lily, that child, continuing to stand there nobody actually getting her to her designated emergency zone. Just standing there, eavesdropping. She got their grim nods and went on through the hatch. Okay, so that's even worse. That's worse. Also, they're outside the room that everybody's supposed to be gathered in. So not only is this kid allowed to freely wander during an emergency when by all fucking any kind of emergency evacuation drills. Just think of fire drills. Stay with your fucking class. She's not only allowed to wander freely, she's leaving the fucking room. She got their grim nods and went on through the hatch into the infirmary. Where...
I think this is the main
This
character
is-
again. Not
Yeah, this is the main character. I meant that Lily wandered out of the room everybody else in is to the room that these people are all talking, and then she's just still standing there. She's not even inside the room that she's supposed to be in, and then nobody's actually escorting her back and reprimanding her camp counselor. And then it's just baffling. Jixie, I'm inserting that myself, got their grim nods and went on through the hatch into the infirmary. So the infirmary is directly opposite the door to the gathering place. That's actually good design, because if there's an emergency and you want everybody in one spot, you kind of want the hospital near there. But it's baffling because, like, how many... We have noted there's no layout being given to us. Rooms are just appearing out of thin air as soon as they are fucking required. They are just spawning into fucking existence. Because we're told that there's a little tiny room, presumably, that's called the admin center, and there's some kind of computer in there. And then you leave there, and then you can look into this big place, and then also the infirmary is right there. But we don't get told any of this information until the characters has to walk that way. Just say, this is the hallway. It contained the infirmary, the gathering location, and the admin center that doesn't actually seem to do much. It's got a computer. Why isn't that computer in every room? Whatever. Okay, let's continue. That's worse. Hold on. She got their grim nods and went through the hatch into the infirmary. Greggy was laid out on the med table, Shen Jean bending over him. Jixie told Dubar, who I guess is also there, "You've got to find out if that bolter is on our inventory somewhere." His expression said that he knew that as well as she did. "I've started a query. It's a Class 3 hazardous equipment. It's Class 3 hazardous equipment. If it was here before today, it'll be on the list." Are you telling me that doesn't take 5 seconds? How long is this query going to take? Do you not have a fucking spreadsheet and just press Control F? This is the space sci-fi future. Fucking Amazon knows what they have in stock. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you've started a query and implying it's going to take a while to get an answer? Like, are you not keeping inventory properly? You can go in a fucking Dollar General and they can tell you what they have in stock. Because they keep inventory, an actual inventory, on a computer. What are these people doing? And even if, what the fuck ever. Like, even if they had a printed thing that they had to check, it would have been printed in alphabetical order, and you could just fucking flip to bolter, blah, or blah, bolter, etc. But they came at him from the front, Shen Jean said. She indicated the impact points in Greggy's chest components. They killed him, then they started trying to take his parts, then got mad and just ... She made a helpless gesture. Went off on him. Take his parts, Jixie repeated. What kind of sick... Then she caught an expression on Shen Jean's face. Shen Jean? There's a story, Shen Jean said. She straightened up. Scary story told in the Mars tunnels. You know. What? Oh, now I'm even more confused. Yeah, Dubar nodded for her to go ahead. I heard that story in the Juno stations, too. Jixie thought this was not the moment for a scary story. Not when they were standing over pieces of their friend and coworker laid out on the med table. So are you telling me Jixie doesn't actually know about the scarily physically disabled serial killer yet? Then what is she trying to not say out loud this whole time? This is just confusing. Until Shen Jin said, something or someone goes after the helper robots and people with prostheses and augments. She nodded to Dubert's prosthetic arm that should have been described. We don't even know what this guy looks like, but he has a prosthetic arm now. He hadn't liked the dark brown options since none quite matched his skin tone, so he had gone for red and silver instead. The effect was quite stylish, and he tended to wear tank tops to show it off. Shen Jin continued, lots of prostheses and medical equipment and medical augments in the tunnels, right, from all the construction accidents. She tapped her chest where her heart augments were. This story used to scare us enough to make us pee. Okay. Like,
That's a sentence.
that sure is a sentence. Also, Martha Wells, you're not... What do you mean none of the they're not... What do you mean they're not making augments that can match dark brown skin? Like, are you... And we're not even going to be talking... Are we going to be talking about the systemic racism, or are we just going to... Ow, my foot! Ow! Ow! Fuck you, foot. Fuck you. Just partially dislocated my foot and had to shove it back into place. Anyways...
The wonders of EDS.
Yeah. Jixie remembered her first thought when she had seen Greggy's body. The thought she hadn't wanted to express. That it had looked like someone had tried to break him up for salvage while he was still alive. Fuck you, Martha Wells. But it was just a story. Yeah, Shen Jin agreed, and looked down sadly at the remains. No, in the Juno stations it was more than a story, It was more than a story. Dubert unconsciously cradled his arm. I saw hazard bulletins that mentioned it from Juno Central, and it showed up in one of those true crime shows from Earth. They called whoever was doing it, of course, the piecework killer. Jixie didn't have time for this. We're supposed to teach critical thinking on this station, folks. Lumping what was probably a bunch of unrelated assaults and bar fight murderers together and then coming up with a serial killer theory to explain it was what the entertainment media did best, and Jixie enjoyed it as much as anybody, but this was a real world, and this was the real world they were dealing with here. So if she doesn't suspect this scarily physically disabled serial killer, then what information is this character not...
She just said it was because she looked like somebody was trying to break him up for salvage while he was still
So
alive.
if she
That's
does...
the secret information.
Like, literally, what is going on here? If she hasn't been thinking, I don't want it to be that serial killer, the scarily physically disabled serial killer, then what information is she withholding from us that she doesn't want to say? Is it just basic murder? Because... Dubert lifted his eyebrows. Augments do get stolen. Sure, but from morgues and medical storage. Augments were usually so tailored to an individual's medical profile that there was no point in stealing them except for their parts. To scroll zigzaggly. Wait, what was that last sentence? It wasn't like you could take one from one person, stick it in someone else, and expect it to work. Not that that would stop someone who wanted one so much they would kill to get it, Jixie guessed. I'm sure someone's got killed for a medical augment before, because people are terrible and anything can happen. But let's not tell everybody there's a serial killer aboard, okay? Then what have you been suspecting this whole time if you were not leaping to serial killer? Shen Jin grimaced and said, when we get done here, I'm gonna do a news search on it. They don't have cell phones in this space future? They had cell phones when this was written. Are you telling me everybody doesn't have a fucking cell phone? Dubert said, Jixie, you don't have Greggy's comm in your pocket, do you? He was looking over the debris from the scene laid out and sorted into piles on the other med table. Also, the fact that Martha Wells is referring to this man's dead body as debris is, again, just more dehumanization. What? No. Jixie lifted her eyebrows. That was solid evidence. Something she could work with. It's gone? He studied the fragments of what was left of Greggy's augments. I'm not even seeing any pieces here. Shen Jin turned with a frown. We got all the debris, I'm certain. So whoever did it must have took Greggy's comm. Dubert glanced up, thoughtful. If they're dumb enough to leave it on, I can scan for it. Jixie didn't think whoever did this was dumb. Mean and angry, but not dumb. You try that. I need to check with the kids. Alright, and then I'm just going to end the video here for now and then connect the other one to it because I'm hungry. So bye-bye. Okay, we're continuing exactly where we left off, which is on page 175 of the PDF. You might be able to hear thunder. Probably not. Now I'm out of breath from catching that. Hang on. Jixie called Lily and Arnie into the little compartment Dubert. It's spelled D-U-B-A-R-R-E. I have no idea how I'm supposed to pronounce that. Into the little compartment Dubert? I'll say Dubert. Into the little compartment Dubert used as an office. They sat down on the deck in front of her because there wasn't any place else to sit. Why are we doing this? What is...
Again.
Why are we... Okay, these are the children that found the dead body, so we're calling them into an office that has no chairs and making them sit on the floor. Also, where are their parents? Or at least, like, where is their camp
They're
counselor?
back on mommy land.
Yeah, I remember that. Where's their, like, camp counselor? Where's the adult assigned to take care of these two in particular? And what consequences is that person going to face for letting these children clearly run off unsupervised and get all the way to the maintenance bay? Arnie looked nervous, but Lily seemed more determined than anything. She said, "Blood spatters. The murderer will have blood spatters on their clothes. We need to search the station. We need to know how old these children are. How old is Lily supposed to be if this is her reaction? Also, am I supposed to really take this seriously if this is how the children are reacting to seeing a dead body?" Lily, it's not that easy, Jixie meant to say, because obviously this had come straight from the true crime or mystery thrillers in the entertainment kiosks. But it wasn't a bad idea at all. Hold on. She keyed her comm and said, "Shen Jin, can you give everybody a little DNA scan for Greggy's augment fluid? Just to make sure." What does this mean? Shen Jin, can you give everybody a little DNA scan for Greggy's augment fluid?
Can you test everybody? Let's see.
That's a whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, it's being phrased horribly. "Oh, good idea," Shen Jin replied. Jixie signed off and said, "That was a good idea, Lily." Lily nodded seriously. Arnie elbowed her in approval. How am I meant to be taking this seriously if we're acting like... Jesus Christ. Jixie got straight to the point. Also, that wasn't a search of the station. You could have just said, "We already did that. Good idea. That's why we already did that." Can you give everybody a little DNA scan? Is she saying scan everybody to see if they have any of his blood on them, or are they saying give everybody a scanner with which to search for his blood? Like, Jixie got straight to the point. "I need to ask you two, did you see or pick up Greggy's comm when you found him?" She got nearly identical head shakes and, "No, Commander." Okay, so her title is fucking Commander? Why, in the exact same paragraph. Let me read this paragraph. She got nearly identical head shakes and, "No, Commander." Jixie added, "Think carefully. You didn't see the comm anywhere, so now we have 3 separate people speaking within the same fucking paragraph."
Wait.
The children are both saying to her, "No, Commander," and immediately following that, in the exact same paragraph, she is saying, "Think carefully." Blah, blah,
Oh
blah.
my god.
Yeah. And
Those
it's...
have to be separated.
Yeah. This is basic writing, people. Arnie swallowed hard. "We thought," he began, and stopped. Lily's jaw hardened, and she lifted her chin. "We didn't know it was Greggy, or even a person. We thought somebody was joking us, had made a dummy out of garbage to scare somebody. This is like the 3rd time we have compared this physically disabled man's body to fucking garbage. Can you fucking stop?" Her voice broke on the last word. She sniffled but didn't cry. "That's what we thought." This is irritating. Arnie was going green under the light brown...
Write children's characters.
No. Arnie was going green under the light brown of his skin. Jixie edged the waste container closer to him in case he vomited. These kids were going to need therapy. Half the station was going to need therapy after this. Jixie pushed, "But you didn't see the comm." And it's like... So many things are ridiculous. And just keep in mind, these children are sitting on the fucking floor. So she's just shoving a trash can closer to the kids who are sitting on the floor. They're sitting on the floor because there's no fucking chairs in the room she has brought them into for some fucking reason. Because the thing that a kid needs after they have found a dead body is to be forced to sit on the floor and get interrogated. "No, Commander." Lily was serious. "The murderer must have taken it, to use it to listen in on our communications." And it's like, again, how old are these children? How old is Lily supposed to be? Arnie frowned. "They'd have their own comm, though." Lily gave him a withering look. "Wasn't one of us. A stranger did this." Arnie scoffed, but he looked worried. "But nobody could just get on the station without us knowing." Lily shrugged. "Somebody did." Missing comm and a Class 3 bolter appearing out of nowhere, period. It wasn't proof, but it was sure as hell evidence. "Well, Lily, I can't say I think you're wrong." And then we have another line break. That little paragraph doesn't tell us that Jixie is the one saying that last line. We just have a whole little mini conversation between the 2 children of undetermined age, forced to sit on the fucking floor for some goddamn reasons. Like, I don't understand. Why do you have a room and then there's not chairs in there? Why are you using this room with which to interview the traumatized children? Like, is their day not bad enough and you're making them sit on the floor? What?
The supposedly traumatized children.
Yeah, the supposedly traumatized children. And it's like, they've been through enough and you're making them sit on the floor. Like, come on. Shen Jin's DNA sweep came up negative, which was a relief. We still don't know what that DNA sweep means. Did they give everybody little scanners to search for Greggy's augment fluid, or did they scan everybody to see if anybody had injected themselves with it? It's not clear, and it would have been so easy to make it clear. And also, why are we acting like the child suggested that? Because that was not at all what she fucking said. You could have just acknowledged, yes, we have already started a search of the station. Good idea. That's why we're doing it. But no, let's just pretend that her suggestion of search the station means, yeah, we'll do some kind of unexplained DNA sweep. Of what? Like, there's so many ways that fucking little... It's just ridiculous. Having an unknown intruder on the station was bad enough, But having someone you knew and worked with turn out to be a murderer was a whole other horror show. But Dubar's search for Greggy's comm ID came up negative too. Whoever had it must have removed the power supply. When the call from base came in, then the call from base came in, and Jixie went to the admin center to answer it. Also, just for the record, the word base is capitalized. It's got a capital B. Oh, okay, we're doing this again. Then the call from base came in, and Jixie went to the admin center to answer it. Also, if her title is Commander, why aren't we calling her Commander Jixie? Why aren't we calling her the commander of blah blah blah? If she has a fucking title, why aren't we using it?
Because she's a legislator. Like a Mensa. Being referred to as Mensa.
Yeah.
Dr. Mensa.
Why? I have another question about the other short Murderbot's story that's not a story that doesn't have a fucking ending. Why was Iris referring to her parents by their first name? It doesn't fucking make sense. When it was done, she went to the admin center to answer the call from base. When it was done, she managed to send a terse acknowledgement without swearing, closed out the call, and did not slap the console. The next patrol was 12 hours out. 12 hours until real help, people who knew what they were doing, could get here. Why is that something that's going to make you want to swear at people? This is basic space shit. You should have seen that coming. Also, nothing... whatever. Shen Jin and Tia Joy poked their heads through the doorway. Shen Jin said, "What's the ETA?" Jixie tried not to look like someone who had half a dozen... Jixie tried not to look like someone who had a half dozen kids watching old episodes of Criminal Investigation Mars, S. Meridiani, trying to figure out what the hell she should do. Huh? So are you so the children aboard space station, babysitting space station, are also being allowed to watch violent TV shows that their parents wouldn't approve of because they're violent TV shows about real crime? What? How does anybody here have a fucking job? Also, what is this sentence? They asked her, what is the ETA, estimated time of arrival, and then Jixie tried not to look like someone who had a half dozen kids watching old episodes of of fucking CSI, whatever, trying to figure out what the hell she should do. 12 hours is just the dialogue. It's just 12 hours, period. It's like, what the fuck does her letting kids watch violent and probably extremely bigoted propaganda TV shows have to do with the fucking ETA of when the fucking anybody else is going to get there? Like, what? Shen Jin snorted in dismay. Tia Joy's widened as she bit back whatever curse tried to come out. Then she said, "The hatches are command sealed, so if they're still here, they can't get to us." Shen Jin said slowly, I don't know. Someone who got aboard like this might be able to code break or jimmy our hatch seals. Stations are designed to be safe. They're not meant to keep people in or out. Tia Joy gave her a look. That does not help, Shen Jin. Jixie rubbed her temples, wincing. Shen Jin was right, and it was scaring the crap out of her. Someone who would do that to Greggy might do anything. Stay around hoping for another victim, set off a bomb, or even destroy their life support. Why would they destroy your life support? But the station's diagnostics read normal, so they hadn't messed with any systems yet and hadn't tried to break into the command module, if they were still here. They were just sitting here somewhere. That's a little sentence all by itself at the end of that. That's weird. And the fact remained that if they had come here looking for people with augments to attack, this was an excellent place to do it. It struck Jixie, suddenly, that she had been thinking of someone getting onto the station, immediately attacking Greggy, and then leaving or hiding somewhere aboard. Maybe her brain had gotten stuck there because the more likely alternative was terrifying. Someone had gotten on days ago, just waiting until they could get to Greggy, while he was alone. It's like, alright. Jixie knew she had to find out. She couldn't just sit here. I have more questions. This is a space station. Don't you guys have CCTV? Don't you have cameras on a space station? Is that thunder transferring through the wall that the phone is propped up against into the camera? Can you guys hear the thunder at all? It's very entertaining. Is it even raining?
Nope.
Or is it
It's
just
literally
heat
going past
lighting?
us.
Okay, just right over that way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Which I say is why we got the episode. The golden hour.
Jixie knew she had to find out. She couldn't just sit here. She pushed to her feet. I need to go down the spoke and check something. What? Tia Joy stared. No! Shen Jean demanded. You lost your mind? Jixie made the mistake of stepping out of the admin center, and some of the kids heard. Why? Lily jumped up and ran to... Yeah. Lily jumped up and ran to join Shen Jean and Joy. You're going to look for clues, Commander? Dubert frowned at her from across the lounge and mouthed the word, clues? Yeah, clues, that's right. Everyone just sit tight while I check the supply ship. I'll be back. Again,
I feel like she came up with the title of Commander halfway through writing it.
I mean, because because literally nobody's calling her Commander except for the children.
And it's only come up now.
Yeah. Like,
that should have been her introduction of, Commander, there's been an accident.
Yeah, that literally should have been information we get at the very start. Like, she's the commander of this fucking space station. She's not just some random intern or something.
It's not even being hidden from us for attention reasons.
Yeah.
Because she's taken charge this entire time.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. Like, if your fucking protagonist is the commander or captain or the highest ranking fucking person here, you kind of gotta tell us that. You know, just do basic exposition.
But you know, that would be unnatural.
Don't write original fiction like it's fan fiction. You do, in fact, have to explain shit to us. It's one thing if this whole story was giving us all the information we need, but it's not. Tia Joy shook her head. Also, does Tia Joy, is that translating to Aunt Joy, or is her first name actually Tia? Shook her head slowly. She started to speak, then glanced at the listening kids. Shen Jean was staring at Jixie, the color drained out of her paper-thin cheeks. Why are her paper-thin cheeks? Oh, that's the 72-year-old. Shen Jean was staring at Jixie, the color drained out of her paper-thin cheeks. She said, I'll go with you. We both will, Dubar said. Also, I would like to get some fucking numbers on how many children are on this space station and how many adults there are. Who else is in this room where they're just doing all of this? If whoever this was had some kind of fixation for prosthetics and augment tech, she didn't want them anywhere near any of the others, especially people like Shen Jean or Tia Joy with her kidney augments.
You know that their mates up their body.
Or Dubar's arm, or Sully's knees. Jixie was the youngest adult and the only one here without any kind of augment. Of course! Of course!
I'm
of
the
course!
only able-bodied here.
This is the only... The Martha Wells, her fucking protagonist in a story where we have a physically disabled person getting murdered, and the protagonist is the only able-bodied person on the fucking spaceship. Because we can't have a physically disabled Martha Wells protagonist. Wow. Also, again, every single fucker, ableist fucker, stan of this author who has tried to insist by able-explaining to me, augmented humans aren't disabled, they just get them for work. You owe me $50, and you will owe me $50 for every single fucking specific goddamn disability augment we get in this. Eat shit. She'd been told at her last medical that she'd need one for her hearing eventually, but that was some ways off. No, you've got to stay. I'll be fine. Everyone took a breath to object, and she said, "That's an order." Okay, Martha Wells, you do understand that in situations like this, you know what? No, I'm not even going to explain it to her. She eyed them all.
You can explain it for the audience.
I don't care.
Readers.
If your fucking person in charge is acting unreasonably, you can make them not be in charge. If the person in charge is insisting that they need to go off completely all by themselves to do who knows what, when the whole space station is supposed to be locked down because of some mysterious murder, you make them not be in charge anymore. What if she was the fucking murderer trying to sneak off to hide evidence, huh? That could literally be a thing.
Disobeying orders is a thing that people regularly do.
Mm-hmm. She eyed them all. This was a training community, but it fell under station regulations, and Jixie was still the commander. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think she came up with she's the commander. Only this, like, why wouldn't you establish this to begin with? Besides the fact that Martha Wells is terrible at writing. Jixie was still the commander. When it came down to it, this was her job, her responsibility. After a moment, everybody subsided reluctantly. Lily had already disappeared, probably back to the entertainment kiosk. All of these people need to lose their fucking jobs and be blacklisted. Like, what? A child has disappeared and you are all in one single fucking room during an emergency. And this child has disappeared and you're just assuming she went back to watching TV. Even though she's been just having free roam of not only the room she's supposed to be in, but was able to go out into the hallway during a fucking life or death emergency. Gosh. Anyways, Lily has absolutely climbed into a fucking vent like Newt / a xenomorph and is just gonna be running around. And I will still be expected to take this seriously, even though we're not taking the safety of the children seriously at all. And again, I must state, you can have the children doing things that they're not supposed to be doing, and it wouldn't be the adults' fault as long as the adults were actually fucking trying. None of these adults are trying to keep these children safe in any way. They're all just sitting around, twiddling their thumbs, letting the children run around, getting out of bounds during a fucking emergency.
During a school shooting lockdown.
Yeah.
Someone's actively been murdered.
Somebody has been murdered, as Walks has just pointed out. Somebody has literally been murdered. This is the equivalent of a fucking lockdown during a school shooting, and they're just letting the kids run around uncontained. And now one of them has very clearly gotten out of the fucking room. DeBar followed her through the short... I'm going to be pronouncing that different ways each time I read it. Sorry, it's Dubarre. If I say Dubar or Dubar, talking about the same person. DeBar followed her through the short passage toward the hatch. Keeping his voice to a whisper, he said, "You're doing the dumb thing people do in horror movies. And you know, if this was well written, it would be revealed that she is actually literally the fucking murderer. Because... like, I know, but I have to check. We have to know," because she's now fixated on, what if the guy was here multiple days? And it's like, that's not really relevant right now. Maybe don't break your fucking line of defense.
It doesn't matter if he's been here multiple days. All that matters right now is that he doesn't get to you guys before help arrives.
Literally,
You
have to
split up your
fucking...
fucking party.
Literally, this is, like, ridiculous. There could be a good fucking reason for this. You could say that somebody miscounted during the count and there's still a fucking kid out there that somebody needs to go get. That would be a good fucking reason for
That's the
one...
inbuilt reason.
Huh?
That's the most
Yeah,
obvious
that's the inbuilt fucking reason. Just say Lily. Nobody fucking counted Lily because she ran off before they closed the doors. And she went out to look for clues. But that would have had to happen before now. It can't just... There's so many reasons. But no, we're just going to obsess over the concept that maybe The serial killer, scarily physically disabled serial killer, has been on the station more than just like right now, like within the past half an hour. Like, you just have to wait 12 hours. You don't open your fucking doors. You can literally just sit here. Everybody take a fucking nap. Go to fucking sleep. Get rid of 8 hours that way. Just have a few people, huh?
Play a card game.
Watch do a movie marathon. Like, come on, this is ridiculous.
They have a bathroom.
Presumably.
They could have a kid sneak out after a short time skip to use the bathroom because they're too embarrassed to go into the bucket that they've set up in the corner.
I presume this is a lounge.
Reason.
This is a lounge, so there's probably a bathroom in here.
I know, but I'm saying the reasons that she could give that would actually have tension and
no, even better, because we know that this big old room everybody's in is directly across the hall from the infirmary. So a kid, I don't know, like Lily, who wants to go look for clues, could pretend she's sick and somehow make it very convincing so that they have to send her to the infirmary and then she can scamper off to look for clues. That could be a thing. The adults would be really fucking even more criminally negligent than they already are if they fell for it, but it could happen. It's ridiculous. We have to know. You don't, though. The automated supply shuttle that had arrived 5 station days ago was the best possibility, and whoever it was might have gone back there to hide. If Jixie knew for certain where they were, she could call for help and trap them. You go back and act calm for everybody. Or, you can all just do a movie marathon. It's literally only 12 hours. Dubar stopped at the hatch. If you get killed, I'm making a formal complaint. Ha ha, Jixie said, and walked briskly down the corridor before she lost her nerve. I feel like there should be a page break there, but there's not. We go from, ha ha, Jixie said, and walked briskly down the corridor before she lost her nerve. Jixie entered her command code at the lift station so the system would let her in. I feel like there should have been a little time skip between those two things. That's the kind of vibe that has. Saying, ha ha, and then fast walking away. That should be the end of a scene. But whatever. As the door slid open, Jixie stepped through and entered spoke 6. Okay, I understand that we're talking about the spoke of a wheel, but it's not capitalized, and it's just making it very fucking confusing because I'm thinking it's spoke as in the past tense of speak. Entered spoke 6. That should be capitalized so that it's just make it a proper fucking noun. It should be a proper noun to begin with. It's a fucking it's like saying the name of a road but not capitalizing it. That's irritating me. If I had edited this, I would make spoke be fucking capitalized. And 6 after it is SIX. I would make it the number. Spoke 6. The way you write an address. Capitalized. Number instead of the word for the number. Like, this is just a confusing sentence if you keep forgetting that we're talking about the spokes like on a wheel. As the door slid open, Jixie stepped through and entered spoke 6 for the destination, especially because spoke here starts the new line in this paragraph because of the way it's all set up in columns. That would have been better if it were at least in the middle of the fucking formatting, but it's starting the new line, so it's just baffling. And again, people who are not writers, I presume at least some of you are watching this. If you're a writer, you know exactly what I'm talking about. People who are not writers, you can just trust me. This is incorrect. You shouldn't be writing things in a way that just confuse your audience for no fucking reason, when adding clarity, it literally requires just capitalizing a single letter and making it a number instead of a word. She stepped back to grab the steady bar as the module hatches and the lift hatches started to close. Why are you saying hatches twice? just say as the module and lift hatches started to close. Oh boy, look! Wow! Who could have seen this coming? She stepped... Everybody here needs to be fired and never allowed to work with children again. Can you guess? Guess what's gonna happen? Guess.
Lily's either dead or there's a whole gaggle of kids comes running up.
Not quite that dramatic. But you get the picture. She stepped back to grab the steady bar. That's one word. As the module hatches and the lift hatches started to close, a small figure flung itself through. The safety protocol squawked, and the hatches hesitated just long enough to let the figure pass, then closed and sealed, and the lift moved smoothly along the ring. Jixie stared incredulously at Lily. What the hell? Lily's little face. Okay, so her face is little. How old is this?
She keeps bouncing back between being a toddler and being an older teenager.
Yeah, when Lily and Arnie first appear, I'm assuming these are like toddlers, like little kids, maybe like in preschool or something. But now, and now we're saying her little face, which is again emphasizing way young little kid. But then they're all talking to her like she's way older, and she's talking back like she's way older. Lily's little face was set in a stubborn glare. I want to come with you. You need backup. For the love of God, Jixie grit her teeth. She started to push the emergency stop to return, but that would have set off a station-wide alarm. It would have warned the intruder that someone was messing around in the lift system. I don't have time for this, Lily. Now I have to wait till we get there and take you all the way back, and I want this person in particular thrown out of fucking airlock. Are you kidding me? We are prioritizing made up bullshit over not getting a child murdered by a serial killer. Are you serious? This person needs to be fucking fired. She just actually no, fired isn't good enough. Send her to fucking jail. Put her in jail. What in the fuck? What? How did she get this job? Do they not have any fucking training? This is literally the fucking trick ridiculous questions that fucking minimum wage job people ask you. Oh, and then she's literally picking on the multiple choice. Yes, keep the child. A serial killer has broken into your space station. One of the children comes into the elevator with you instead of blah. Which fucking option do you pick? Push the emergency stop and immediately escort the child back to the confinement whatever safety zone. That's option A. Option B. Tell the child to stay in the elevator while you go search. Option C. Yeah. Option C. Throw the child out an airlock because the serial killer won't see that coming. And option D. Throw the child at the and she's just like, these are the, not even joking, these are some of the fucking options they're putting on employment fucking things.
Including the level of ridiculousness.
That's legitimately the level of ridiculous.
Bring the child on your quest to track down a serial killer.
And then this character's doing the bad, ridiculous on purpose option. Oh my god. Lily glared. She breathed hard, like she was running a race. You need help. That's rule number 1. Don't do anything dangerous alone. Don't go places alone. Take someone who can call for help. Lily, do not throw my own rules back in my face. You are a kid. You are my responsibility. Your safety is more important than mine. Then push the emergency fucking stop button. Oh my god. I found him. They killed him and I found him. He was my friend. Lily shouted. And this is correct. Good job, Lily. Correct response for the child if we're assuming she's not a fucking toddler. We don't fucking know how old she is.
Because she's got a little face, remember?
Yeah, she has a little face.
Finish your juice.
Literally, go finish your juice. How the fuck old is this child? Like, it's fine for the child to be acting like this. This adult needs to... Oh my god.
Same thing happens in Witch King.
Exact same thing happens in Witch King. Jixie shut up, and they stared at each other. The lift reached spoke 6 and started... Okay, started. I wish there was a way to change the font in the PDF. I don't like whatever fucking font this is. Jixie shut up, and they stared at each other. The lift reached spoke 6 and started down it toward the shaft. Jixie felt her feet start to leave the deck as they began to lose gravity. He was my first friend here. Lily choked the words out and swallowed back tears. She gripped the rail as she started to float. No one liked me because I was from Earth. He told the others he was from Earth, too, to be nice to me. And they did. He said he knew what it was like, being alone. He said when the first lunar rover exploration program ended and the support crew he worked with got... Oh my god, put a comma! He said when the first lunar rover exploration program ended and the support crew he worked with got old and retired and died, he was alone. He said the new people didn't remember him from before he got the bot parts. They acted like he was just a machine.
Jeez.
Yeah. There's swearing going on over there you probably can't fucking hear. Jixie let her breath out and rubbed her eyes. Greggy had called Earth his first life, but he hadn't given many details about his family or his teaching career there. She knew rovers had had a hard time after the first exploration phases ended and the habitat constructions began, that the rover program had budget cuts and lost personnel, but he had never talked about that. Rovers going from heroic figures who made the news all the time to just outdated curiosities would have been hard to live through. He had never said what had caused him to volunteer for a work program that meant giving up his legs and arms and most of his insides for augments. Whether it was illness or a terrible accident, she knew it must have been bad. Nobody had agreed to become a rover, zigzag, scrolly, unless the only other choice was dying. But that had been 80 years ago, back in the bad old days, when good medical augments had been too expensive for anybody but the super rich. You mean this is just further digging her fucking hole in everything? Because, yeah, she has literally been dehumanizing physically disabled people this entire time. I don't know why I said entire like that. It figured Greggy would share more about his life with the kids, especially if he caught them bullying a newbie, like Lily. Jixie said, "He was my friend too, honey. That doesn't mean I should let you risk your life following me." "I'll be careful. I'll do whatever you say," Lily promised. "And I know a lot about mysteries, books and videos both. I can help. We need to catch whoever snuck aboard before they do something to the station." Huh?
So dear Martha was protagonist. You don't know shit about mysteries.
Uh-huh. I know. That's why I sealed the command module so whoever it was couldn't sneak in and kill all my kids. Jixie thought that might scare Lily, at least as much as it was currently scaring her, but Lily only subsided a little. "It's got to be the last supply ship, right? That's how the murderer got aboard." How old is this child? I'm going to be asking this question this entire fucking time. This is ridiculous.
Conversation. She probably, like the commander part, she probably hadn't decided yet.
Probably.
She says, "It's good enough.
Probably.
We don't need to."
Jixie wasn't going to ask at what point Lily had figured that out. If Lily had twigged to it long before Jixie had, it would just be embarrassing. It literally doesn't... Huh?
What's the paragraph? What's the thing?
The dialogue. The child said, "It's got to be the last supply ship that came in. That's how the murderer got aboard." Probably. Jixie wasn't going to ask at what point Lily had figured that out. If Lily had twigged to it long before Jixie had, it would just be embarrassing.
Yeah, because that's literally the conclusion every single fucking person is going to come to.
This
entire is not do character flaws.
Yeah, this is, and it's it's not going to be portrayed as a flaw. She's going to be portrayed as correct for leaving the fucking thing to go and do this bullshit. Everybody stay in the fucking safety zone. No, I want to go and check how long the serial killer has been on board, even though the last time anybody could have gotten on board was 5 days ago when a ship came in. Why? We don't need that information. Just stay in the fucking safety zone. No, I want to know. I'm going to obsess over it and pretend like it's life-altering information. And it's like...
What if it's the station?
Part of Jixie... Oh my god, die. Part of Jixie was glad Lily was here, because doing this alone would be so much worse, and the rest of her was angry at herself for the cowardice. Not as angry as she was at the intruder for killing Greggy, for coming into their home and making it strange and frightening. That's a weird setup.
Greggy could work if it was old Greggy.
Yeah.
That sounds like an actual nickname.
Yeah, old Greggy. That would work so much better. I am older. I am the doctor. You haven't listened to that one. It's funny. This is just a weird paragraph. I'm going to read it again. Part of Jixie was glad Lily was here, because doing this alone would be so much worse, and the rest of her was angry at herself for the cowardice. Period. Not as angry as she was at the intruder for killing Greggy, for coming here into their home and making it strange and frightening. Well, it doesn't really seem strange and frightening because you exist in a blank void that just has different labels. For instance, right now they're in some kind of elevator that I don't know what it fucking looks like. I don't know how big it is. How many people can fit in this elevator?
Is it cramped?
Is it a
Is it
cramped
spacious?
elevator? We know that there's handlebars. What could a xenomorph fit in the fucking elevator? But they won't still be there, Lily said. They're in the station somewhere. Who are we? That, again, the dialogue. The last thing said out loud was probably... Okay, so it's Lily talking. Also, when you are picking the names for your characters, Lily, at least with this font, Lily and the L, the capital L in Lily and the capital J in Jixie look fucking similar because it's got, I don't know, is it sans? Whatever the little decorative thingies are, it's got those, and it's irritating me.
maybe
I don't remember. It's some.
Yeah, I think it's a serif because then things are sans serif.
Yeah, and
Because it's
yeah,
without
I was
serif.
remembering sans. Yeah, the little serifs, if that's what they're fucking called, are irritating me. I don't like this font. But they won't still be there still. Lily, that child, said, they're in the station somewhere. They might still be there. That's in italics because Jixie is just thinking that for some reason. And if they were, Jixie might be able to seal the shuttle and jettison it, so Base could easily pick up the intruder when they arrived. Or, you could just stay inside the locked fucking classroom. Yeah, but I need to make sure... Also, hold on. How long is this fucking elevator ride taking? So this fucking... this is little legitimate, not even joking. This is criminal negligence. How long is this fucking elevator ride that she could have instantly pushed the stop and return button 2 seconds after they got on? And now, this conversation has to be lasting, at least 5 or 10 minutes.
How many pages has it been? In screenwriting, at least one page is usually, covering 1 minute or so. As a general rule of thumb.
Let me scroll up. That's page
As far as dialogue.
92. Okay. Still, the same-ish page, but, there's a lot. It's ridiculous. This elevator ride is too fucking long for it to be even remotely reasonable to say, oh, now I have to let you come all the way to the stop with me and then send it back. No, because the child is very clearly going to dart out of the goddamn elevator and run off to find the serial killer. Yeah, but I need to make sure that's how they got in before I do anything else. No, you literally don't. You can literally just set a good fucking example. Why is she in charge? She's the youngest person on the station. We explicitly... Why is the youngest person in charge of this station when she's clearly not fucking qualified? Because... Also, why was everybody else just acting like, oh, you're just a silly person doing silly things instead of quoting the goddamn safety manual at her and saying you are in dereliction of your fucking duty? Because If she's the fucking commander,
There's so
then
many
her
ways you can build
responsibility...
tension
Yeah,
and have suspense and get your characters where they need to be without doing stuff like
this is just making this character literally criminally negligent and incompetent, and she's going to go to jail when this is all up, when they fucking investigate. Lily nodded, because she said, "We need to make sure that's how they got in before we do anything else." Lily nodded. There'll be clues. When we figure out who they are, where they came from, we'll know why they killed Greggy and what they're gonna do next. Well, ... Yeah, it did sound reasonable when you put it like that. The lift slowed, nearing the dock. Stay in here, okay? And if I tell you to hit the return... So we're going with option whatever I said for the made-up fucking...
Tell the child to stay in the car.
Stay in the car, Chuck. Just tell the child, option B or whatever I made as. Tell the child, allow the child to remain with you, but tell them to stay in the elevator, because the child who escaped the fucking safety zone is totally gonna stay in the new designated safety zone, and being in an elevator is totally a safe thing to be doing in an emergency. Totally not why we have stairs or anything. I'll do it, Lily promised, as the lift thunked to a stop and locked itself into place. Jixie looked out the hatch window. See, we established 2 seconds, like within the first 2 seconds of Lily getting into the elevator, that Jixie was going to send her back as soon as they got to wherever they're going. But now we're saying, actually, she's just telling her to stay in the elevator and trusting that she'll stay in the fucking elevator instead of escorting her back. Jixie looked out at the hatch windows, but nobody seemed to be lying in wait in the corridor unless they were flattened up against the wall, which was hard to do in the light gravity. She opened the hatch. Everything seemed normal, all the indicators in the wall panel reading good, and nothing out of place in the row of airlocks. Jixie eased out into the corridor and pulled herself along the rack. She checked, and again, she's literally just telling the child to stay in the elevator instead of escorting her back to the fucking safety zone and putting her in timeout. She checked the locks of the 2 empty slots first, making sure the hatches were still command sealed. Nothing looked tampered with. Both were used by construction and repair skids, which were... Are we actually getting exposition/world building? We're getting explanations for things? It's a miracle, everybody! Both were used by construction/repair skids, which were small vehicles that moved around the outside of the station for repairs, though neither lock had a skid docked now. I think that's the first genuine explanation we've gotten for so fucking long in so many Martha Wells things. My God. I shouldn't have to clap for that. Jixie hesitated. A skid would be handy for an intruder who could use it to hide in, move between various locks on the stage. It's just a weird sentence. A skid would be handy for an intruder, who could use it to hide in, move between various locks on the station's hall, period. That's just weird. But the logos hadn't shown any anomalous movements. She needed to ask someone up in command to check on the skid's locations. Or you can turn right back the fuck around, hold the kid's hand, go back up through the fucking elevator, escort the child into the far corner of the safety zone, put her in timeout, set at least 2 fucking adults to watch her, and do it yourself. No? No, it's okay, guys. The teacher should totally go wandering around in the hallways with a child during the fucking school shooting. It's great plan. Nothing could possibly go wrong. It's not like the commander has all of the codes to unlock everything on the fucking ship or anything. Nothing could possibly go wrong. She's not endangering everybody or anything. Then she went to the supply shuttle's lock. A quick check of the state. I don't know what the fuck kind of room we're in. Is this a hallway? Are we in a big fucking cargo bay? Because why is there a supply shuttle? I thought we were in a little hallway with a little panel on the wall. Again, characters are in a fucking blank void where the setting should be.
And the setting doesn't matter or impact them.
Mm-hmm. A quick check of the status console showed everything looked alright, that the hatch hadn't been tampered with since the lockdown. Jixie tapped in the entry code. Why are you doing that? Now the... Oh my god. Fire her. Fire her. So now the fucking the serial killer knows the code to get into the shuttle if they didn't already.
What if it's Lily?
Jixie tapped in the entry code, and the lock released a hiss of air as it opened. Air. Period. Jixie frowned and checked the panel again. It was reading a level of atmosphere inside the shuttle that was for live transport, not for the lower levels of vacuum-sealed supplies and equipment. Relief hit her first, bringing on a wave of internal heat.
I'm seriously gonna ask, what if the plot twist is that Lily is a serial killer?
If you can't hear that, they're asking, what if the plot twist is that Lily is the serial killer?
It explains how she got out, how she found the body.
Yep.
She wants to drum up some drama, that's why she titled. Or the other kid found the body.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't fake it.
Relief hit her first, bringing on a wave of internal heat. It really wasn't one of us. We've been right all along. It's an intruder. And it's like... Then renewed fear. Oh, hell, it really wasn't one of us.
What?
Before this, Jixie might have wondered what was worse, imagining there might be a violent stranger aboard the station, or knowing it for certain. Knowing for certain was definitely worse. She moved back, and you've left a child all by herself, standing in a fucking elevator. She moved back until she was sure she was out of earshot, and clicked her comm. Trying to keep her voice as low as possible, she whispered, "Emergency priority." Her voice came out hoarse, and she cleared her throat self-consciously. "Jixie?" Shen Jean replied. "You okay? Also, who wants to make bets? Do we think the other fucking adults have noticed that they have lost a fucking child during the school shooting? Probably not." "Fine. Is Dubar sure Greggy's comm is off?" "He's sure. You found something?" "Yeah. Someone's tampered with the shuttle. Looks like that's how our unauthorized visitor got here." She made herself sound calm. The comm recording would go on the official report if the intruder killed her. "Oh, shit," Shen Jean breathed. "Yeah." Are you laughing at that as
Yes.
well? "Yeah," Jixie agreed. A thought occurred to her, and she added, "This shuttle's last stop was Station Titan. Can you check the news reports and see if there were any disturbances there?" Again, I have to ask a question. Why don't these people have cell phones? Why don't they have cell phones? "I'll check," Shen Jean promised. "Also, we need to make sure all the repair skids are where they're supposed to be."
You already
Jixie...
confirmed they're not.
Huh?
You already confirmed they're not.
Mm-hmm. Jixie glanced down the corridor and saw
Shen
Lily...
Jean's the killer.
Jixie glanced down the corridor and saw Lily in the hatchway of the lift, watching intently. Lily flashed her a thumbs up. Jixie sighed and added, "And Lily snuck onto the lift after me, and I can't get her to go back." "You haven't tried! Just go back to the fucking elevator and push the goddamn return button!" What? Shen Jean swore a lot, the only non-profane word of which was kids. She added, "You both come back up here. We'll seal in until base arrives." Oh my god. It's like, yeah, the basic thing, every single other fucking adult in that room should have barred the fucking door and said, "You are fucking acting irrationally. Sit the fuck down. We are relieving you of command. You are not exiting this fucking room during the school shooting in space." We literally just have to fucking wait here for rescue. Leaving to investigate bullshit is not going to accomplish anything except getting people killed. And again, so yes, I was correct. None of the adults notice that they have lost a fucking child. Every single adult here needs to be fucking fired. The only people who don't need to be fired are all the adults in that other room somewhere. And we still have gotten zero description or even basic estimates of how many adults and children are in each fucking location. We didn't even get a proper location of the room they're all in. Shen Jin said, "You both come back up here. We'll seal in until base arrives." That's literally the A in avoid, deny, defend, bitch. Jixie had thought of that. Jixie had already thought of that. Can't. Whoever this is, ... Whoever it was had hijacked an automated shuttle and modified it to allow for atmosphere on a pre-programmed chip. And Shen Jin had been right. The intruder might be able to get past the command seals if they were that good with jacking systems. Rampaging around the station, nothing to stop them from altering or just bashing the hell out of any equipment. Maybe trying to breach the station's hull. I got to try to pinpoint where they are. Jixie heard the words coming out of her mouth and felt sick. This is so fucking ridiculous. Why in the hell would the serial killer want to breach the hull? Also, the whole reason of you being sealed into that room is that they're airlock doors, presumably, so that if there is a fucking hull breach, everybody is in there safe with fucking atmosphere.
I was not paying attention for a minute. Is there a safe room right next to a thing where someone's going to punch through the thing for some reason?
No, that is not what is being said at all. No. She's told, "You both come back up here and we will seal ourselves in until rescue gets here." Jixie had already thought of that. Can't. Whoever this is, ... Whoever it was had hijacked an automated shuttle and modified it to allow for atmosphere on a pre-programmed chip. And even Shen Jin had been right. The intruder might be able to get past the command code seals if they were that good with jacking systems. Rampaging around the station, nothing to stop them from altering or just bashing the hell out of any equipment. Maybe trying to breach the station's hull. I got to pinpoint where they are. Jixie heard the words coming out of her mouth and felt sick. Oh my god. "Oh, Jixie," Shen Jin said. Then, after a moment, her voice hardened. "If you catch them, kick their ass." She has a child with her? Oh my god. This is unbelievable. Okay, and this, usually when adults are this incompetent in a story, it's because it's a story for kids, and the point is that the kids shouldn't have to take charge, because that's the job of the adults, but the kids have to do it anyway, so that the kids can be the heroes of the story. At this point, I want all these children to rise up and fucking save the day, because
it would be so easy to turn
these
this
adults,
into a kid's story.
Yeah.
It's
Somebody rewrite this as a children's fucking story, where the children are horrified by the adults trying to get them fucking killed. So they have to do everything themselves. This is ridiculous.
That's how she writes a lot of her things. Like, she writes the children characters like she's writing for a children's cartoon where the children are the protagonists and have a magical destiny to do shit. When she's writing for media for adults with adult protagonists.
And we're supposed to take it 100% seriously.
And we're still supposed to take it 100%
and not
seriously
in the way that you
children
take the themes and stuff seriously. Children have to save the world thing. It was just words, but weirdly it helped. Will do. Jixie signed off and muted the comm to make sure it didn't beep when she least wanted it to. So the adults are now aware that they have in fact... She has a child with her. They lost a fucking child. She's out here with a fucking child, and they're saying, yeah, go ahead, you go and track down that serial killer with a child in tow that you refuse flat out to get back to safety. This is a great plan. Kick that serial killer's ass for me while you actively endanger a child for some fucking reason. You know, this general plot could work if I'm not gonna do it, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not writing. Whatever.
It could be a public domain story.
Here's a public domain writing prompt for you. Just rewrite this bullshit, but make it actually make sense that the adult has a child with them. It's a fucking apocalypse. Families are all separated. It can literally just be that dude and that kid from the Alien comics. The reason that the adult is keeping the child with them is because everywhere else is equally as fucking dangerous, so the kid may as well be with you, because then you at least can fucking protect them. This Jixie, Commander Jixie, whatever the fuck her last name is literally just dragging this child off to get murdered by a scarily physically disabled serial killer for no fucking reason, and then all of the other adults are like, yeah, that's fine, that's good, that's good. I'm giving that a thumbs up of approval. Also, it was specifically mentioned that their comms are being recorded. So all of their dialogue on the comms is going to go to the investigation where they are going to get arrested and thrown in jail for criminal child endangerment. Like, my God. Write that story. Make that a story. It's just the fucking court case of the aftermath of all of this fucking bullshit where these people are being tried for criminal fucking negligence and child endangerment for what? Shits and giggles? The shuttle's interior lights had come on automatically, and Jixie saw it was safe enough for the moment. With Lily holding the lift in place, since when, no one else could get down here. Yeah, I should have brought someone, she thought. It would have given Lily less of an excuse to follow her, at least. What? Huh?
It's a good thing, Lily's.
So,
She can hold this lift for
Yeah, I should have brought someone, she thought. It would have given Lily less of an excuse to follow her, at least. Okay, you can talk about children having excuses to do things if Lily was like an older teenager who's acting rationally and insisting upon the buddy system because the adult is being completely irrational. But instead, it's just child endangerment of a child with a little face. Little face. How old is she? We don't fucking know. Oh my God. I guess the reason Martha Wells isn't telling us their age is so that these children can act every which way that she feels like writing them. She pulled herself inside the shuttle hatch. As she drew herself into the first compartment, she felt like her eyes and ears were enlarging, trying to detect any hint that someone had been in here. That's weird. Why would you say that?
Why would you say that?
Why would you say, like,
I
what?
thought she meant, like, for a pressure reason.
Yeah. The shuttle had been designed as an uncrewed ship, hauling supplies from station to station, but it had facilities for people if needed. Jixie checked the lockers next to the hold that could fold out into bunks, with a tiny toilet facility and a tiny galley, but it didn't look like any of this had been used. Was she wrong about this? I forgot to get another. Well, that's gone. Then she grabbed the next locker handle and felt the sticky residue along the inside. She jerked her hand back and cautiously sniffed it. Sugar in liquid form. She felt down the side of the locker and found another sticky patch near the bottom, this one with a tiny bit of plastic food wrapper stuck to it. A package of liquid ration had broken against this locker at some point. Someone had been zigzaggy scroll in here, and they had been neat and careful, except for these traces of spillage left behind. Ha! Jixie thought, and went to check the intake vent. And then it's another line break. Lily bounced excitedly as Jixie approached. Now I'm once again imagining like a 5-year-old. How old is this child? Can we get some goddamn consistency? Jixie held out her hand, showing Lily the clear scrap baggie she'd used to collect the fragments she'd found in the intake vent. Clues. So we are rewarding the child for leaving the fucking safety zone. Lily leaned close to examine the bits and pieces of shattered component. What bits of pieces of shattered component?
The one she discovered from the trash can.
Off screen. She said, "We need to check where the shuttle came from, see if anybody got murdered there before it left." "Shen Jin's on it," Jixie told her, pulling herself into the lift. "Why aren't you on the station leadership track?" She thought Lily might be wasted in the standard school. Jixie had gone to station school on Mommyland. Being from Earth, Lily wouldn't have had that advantage. Still, somebody should have done an evaluation at some point and noticed the kid was this smart. "I don't know." Lily shrugged that off, obviously too focused on the current problem to think about her future education. "Motive will tell us where the murderer is. We know the motive, we know what they want."
This kid's so smart, parroting shit from generic mysteries. Apparently smarter than all the adults around her. 'Cause she's
"Lily, this is real. This is not like videos and books, ... The stories about the tunnel and station piecework killer that stole prostheses for fun might be mostly myth, but Jixie was willing to believe the intruder had a need to steal augments. The vivid image in her head of Greggy's torn body, the missing parts, the way something had hacked at his head to get to the interfaces, ... Jixie took the envelope back from Lily, flattening it to examine the tiny fragments more closely. Lily folded her arms. "They get the videos and books from real stuff, Commander Jixie." So that is correctly her fucking title, Commander Jixie. "There's certain ways people solve mysteries, and it's always..." Jixie waved at her, distracted. "I'm sorry, honey, I think you're right. I think this person did want something from Greggy. They wanted his interfaces." She remembered it had been her first impression when she had... Also, just calling him Greggy, if that was the nickname that the kids called him, that would be fine if we then said his real name every now and then. Greggy could literally just be the nickname because it's a daycare thing. So that's his nickname. But then he needs a real name. They wanted his interfaces. Why are you telling the child this? She remembered it had been her first impression when she... No, it's not. No, you liar. Oh my god. I think you're right. I think this person did want something from Greggy. They wanted his interfaces. She remembered it had been her first impression when she had seen the horror that was left of Greggy's head. How many times had she thought of the sun as an egg and the moon?
About to read that sentence.
No.
How many times
No.
has she?
How many times had she thought of the sun as a yolk and the moon as an egg? I'm copying. I am opening this in another tab. Oh, I can search Greggy. That's a Control F I can do. Something happened. Scrolling back to the first page of this thing. Something happened to his old bot parts, Jixie thought, even as her stomach tried to surge right up her throat. Something exploded! But that shouldn't be possible. Augments didn't explode. Something near him must have exploded, or broken free and hit him. Again, just Martha Wells just fucking lying to us, and assuming that we will somehow not fucking notice.
Go back through the book, go back a few pages, and look at what was actually written.
Literally.
This is something people do on e-readers. This is something people do with physical books.
She remembered it had been her first impression when she had seen the horror that was left of Greggy's head, despite her immediate thought going, oh, his augments exploded! For some fucking reason. Like, you can't lie, Martha Wells. We are on a fucking book. We can all literally just turn back. This is page 95 that we're on now, and it was just 10 pages ago, at least as far as the PDF reader is concerned. I don't think it's tracking correctly with the actual page numbers, because on the book, the number says this is page 167 when this story started, and 187. So, oh, okay, because okay, I understand now. The PDF is set in 2-page format, because when you printed it, the pages get folded. Okay, I understand what's going on now. Anyways, yeah, Martha Wells is just lying to us for some fucking reason, and then she couldn't be asked to actually go back and edit it, so that this was genuinely her first impression. This is ridiculous. I wouldn't even write something this bad for charity, because I would want to give charity something good. I don't actually know if this foundation wrote this thingy for a charity, but whatever. That had been her first impression when she had seen the horror that was left of Greggy's head. Those were the most complicated of his components, the ones that made the rest of his augments work like he had been born with them. These broken pieces, these are from an interface, one that came apart when it was being worked on. Lily frowned and looked at the bag again. Did the murderer get Greggy's interfaces? Yeah, I think so, Jixie said slowly. So why aren't they down here, hiding on the shuttle, waiting until it leaves? Why are you asking the child these things? Maybe they know we know about the shuttle, or maybe they want something else before they escape, Lily nodded thoughtfully. See, we're figuring it out. Maybe they were. Let's see. Jixie pulled the system access off her belt. Again, they exist in a void. Things just spawn in out of nowhere. It's Janet's void. And flicked through the opening screens to find the general inventory. You were making somebody else do some complicated search for the inventory to find that bolt gun earlier, and now you're telling me you've had a fucking phone on your goddamn belt this whole time, and you could have looked through the inventory in 5 fucking seconds with Control F search bolter this whole time!
Starstick all over again.
If someone needed the tools and other equipment to install interfaces, there was at least one place aboard the station where they would go. I need to seal off the mech workshop on the Spoke 3 engineering module. So we're going to bring the kid along to do that, even though the station is in alert mode or emergency mode. Everything everywhere. All the doors are locked. This is ridiculous. Jixie called Dubar on the comm to see if he had a lock that could keep anybody from hacking their way through a command-sealed hatch. Or maybe go back to being in lockdown. He had something he thought might work, so Jixie's first stop was the command module. She handed over a mutely... Okay, thank fucking God. It's even adding more bafflement, though. She handed over a mutely protesting Lily to Dubar and took the hand lock in exchange. That basically makes the hatch inert, so just slap it in place and get out of there, he told her. So she did finally bring the fucking child back, but it's being framed as
that she's literally physically carrying her.
Yeah, she's handing this child over, which means this child is small enough to pick up and hand over. Also, the way this is being framed, the only reason she's putting the child back into safety is because the guy who happens to be in a lockdown thing has a thing that she wants. Otherwise, I presume that she would literally just be dragging this child along with her the whole fucking time.
Not even dragging.
This is
enthusiastically.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Got it, Jixie said and stepped back into the lift. She could have taken the access corridor from here, but the lift was faster. She entered the address for Spoke 3, and the lift slid away. If she and Lily had reasoned this right, the intruder would be several compartments deep in the module where the workshop was. What they were doing in there, whether working on their stolen interfaces or trying to insert them into themselves, Jixie didn't know. It's like, this doesn't need to be a mystery. Go back to the goddamn locked room. The lift reached the engineering module foyer, and Jixie peered cautiously through the hatch. This module was a different design, mostly because it had been the original module brought here and used as a platform, while the rest of the station was built around it. The foyer was long and deep to accommodate monitoring stations that had been used for construction pods. What she could see of it was innocently empty. But again, just like the houses were painted with colors, that's not really describing anything. This module was a different design. And the foyer was long and deep. What else? I know the vague shape of the fucking room. Kind of, not really. Long and deep. You mean it's a big room? She stepped out of the lift. The lights were on, and the air hissed through the vents, and everything seemed normal, but the back of her neck itched, and her teeth hurt, and some primal part of her brain was hissing quietly, "Bad idea." All she had to do was slap the lock on the sealed hatch. That was all. Then run back to the command module and wait for base to get their asses here. She'd leave the security issues to the experts and put Lily in for some advanced station management courses. I guess so. She's small enough that you can pick her up still. She moved quietly through the foyer toward the hatch. It was closed, and she felt a sharp spike of relief. She stopped at this panel a meter from the door and quickly hit the sequence to check the command seal. The hatch's handle blinked confirmation, and she stepped close to put her palm on the biometric scanner just to be certain. Because opening the door is clearly the correct decision here. It didn't beep, and there was something coating the sensor. She pulled her hand back, feeling the sticky substance that had transferred to her palm. Baffled, she rubbed at it. She realized it was gray augment fluid, partially dried, mixed with blood. Then someone behind her said, "Too late." Jixie's throat went dry. As she turned, she tightened her arm against her side. As she turned, she tightened her arm against her side 3 quick times, activating the emergency panic button in her comm strap. Well, fuck you. Nobody needs to come and rescue you. You're just gonna get more people killed. You put yourself in this danger. Nobody better come fucking rescue her. I swear to God. The person had been standing in the shadows. Like, so you've had emergency panic buttons in this whole time? Whatever. The person had been standing in the shadows, so still and quiet they had blended into the bulkhead and the conduit running along it. They were taller than her by more than a head, dressed in gray, their skin so pale it was almost translucent, cheeks and eyes sunken. Everything about them was colorless, except the brown of their eyes. Jixie had studied de-escalation, talking down people who were desperate or ill. Oh my lord. Oh my god. Jixie had studied de-escalation, talking down people who were desperate or ill. She knew all the right ways to begin this conversation, but what she said was, "You killed Greggy, you fucker!" And it's like,
you know that?
This could just be a random sick person. What if the serial killer kidnapped somebody and brought them along? The person stared down at her, unblinking, then said, "Oh, you gave it a name?" Jixie's jaw hurt from trying not to scream obscenities. "He was my friend! He was a teacher!" The person cocked their head. It was a rover. Jixie swallowed back spit. "That doesn't mean he wasn't a person, you sick piece of shit!" They loomed over her. "When they make you a rover, they murder the person." "That's bullshit! You murdered the person!" Becoming a rover had just extended Greggy's life and given him different parts. Saying it had somehow made him inhuman was obscene. Martha Wells, you're obscene! You can't say all of this shit when you've literally been dehumanizing cyborgs this entire series.
This is probably why
Like,
she doesn't want
oh my god, this is probably why she doesn't want people reading this. So Martha Wells, you want to explain to the class why exactly it is that Murderbot is not human, and why all of the other enslaved cyborgs that you call sec units, aka meat shields, and comfort units, aka sex slaves, you want to explain to the class why they are not human when they have literally just been mutilated the exact same way becoming a rover did? You want to explain that to the class? Is it because it's slavery apologism, the thing you fucking love? The intruder stared down at her for a long, hard moment. Jixie felt a weird sense of disassociation, like she was watching this on video or reading it in a book. No, you're here, she reminded herself. You may not be here much longer, but you're here. And she was going to get some answers. Tell me why you think you need his interfaces. They stepped back, watching her. For me. But why? This close, Jixie could see the painful-looking rash creeping out from under their collar, the scabbed patches on the gray-haired skull. This person was badly ill, maybe dying. Do you have augments? Is something wrong with them? Greggy's interfaces will only work for another rover. If you know anything about rovers, you have to know that, ... If I know anything about rovers. The intruder took 2 long steps back, making Jixie's heart thump. They pulled open their jacket. Their whole torso was an augment, with no attempt made to make the finish look like skin, or like a decoration, or anything that was meant to be there. She said, What wanted to come out was, why did you do this to yourself? What a stupid question that was. What happened? I was murdered, they said, watching her coldly. Jixie suddenly...
Is this more Imperial Badge fanfiction?
Probably. This is Sphene. Jixie suddenly realized what she was looking at. You were a rover. Nobody had made rovers in over 70 years. All the Luna and Mars rovers had died. Died? Or were they murdered, Martha Wells? Or were living out their retirement somewhere. You mean the thing... Whatever. She had seen the rover monument on Mars, all the names and their stories, where they were now. The kids had done an assignment on it because of Greggy. How can you be a rover? They're all accounted for. That's not a horrifying statement at all. You keep track of them? You have a fucking list of them? And they had no reason to let themselves suffer like this, with failing augments. The person sneered, and she saw they had no teeth. Yes, the heroic volunteers. I was a corporate rover. Oh, shit, Jixie thought. There's literally, oh, comma, shit, exclamation point. Oh, shit, Jixie thought. She had read about the early corporate off-Earth expansion, unregulated, unsafe. Surely those corporations hadn't been allowed to make rovers, but there was no other way this person could be a rover and not be on the Lunar or Mars government lists. Corporations made private rovers and no one knew. Their sneer was tinged with pity. Of course, to work the outer asteroid belt where the precious elements were, away from the cameras and the cheering crowds. Jixie felt sick. But why do you need Greggy's interfaces? Can't you just go to a hospital, go somewhere for help? Also, to pause, I don't give a shit. I don't care. This is just inherently fucking ableist, what Martha Wells is doing. She is demonizing physically disabled people. She is literally writing a story where physically disabled people become serial killers to steal other people's body parts.
Prosthetics in particular.
Prosthetics. It doesn't matter. It's body parts.
Mm.
This is ableist, especially considering our protagonist is the only able-bodied person on the fucking space station, excluding the children, and gave us the most graphic description I've ever seen of a fucking dead body in any of her series, and the fact that we've compared Greggy's body to garbage 3 fucking times. Now she keeps going out of her way to describe how disabled looking this serial killer is when we have zero description of a single other person on this fucking ship. Space station. Ship. What the fuck ever. Jixie felt sick. But why do you need Greggy's interfaces? Can't you just go to a hospital? Go somewhere for help? What had those corporate bastards done to this person to make them think they couldn't get help? What had been done to their brain? Was she dealing with someone who had been so isolated and brutalized that murder seemed like a good idea? Or were they so ill that they didn't know what they were doing? It's like, so you're telling me Martha Wells is capable of grasping these concepts, but then she still wants us to cheer on Murderbot and Art and all of the other protagonists of the Murderbot Diaries for murdering other slaves. So I'm gonna guess that the reason Martha Wells doesn't make it easy for people to find this story, even though it's so easy to let people find this story, is that she doesn't want people asking themselves these questions about Murderbot or any of the other fucking things. She doesn't want people to be aware that she can, in fact, acknowledge that dehumanizing physically disabled people is bad. She doesn't want people to acknowledge how much she's worshipping individualism in the Murderbot Diaries. I needed a refit. When I need something, I take it. Augments, interfaces. They grinned at her. Your friends call me piecework. We're finally not assuming their fucking pronouns. And yeah, if the physically disabled serial killer also turns out to be non-binary, Martha Wells needs to get thrown out of an airlock. And remember, when this person grins at her, they have no teeth, because Martha Wells is pulling out all the stops to tell us how physically fucking disabled this person is. This scary, scary serial killer.
How ugly they are.
Literal, physically disabled serial killer who steals people's body parts, called piecework. Now Jixie felt dumb as well as terrified. You found a way to use Greggy's comm to listen to us without it showing on our system. That's not... No. You established that this has been a legend for a while now. Your friends could refer to literally everybody. Their expression twisted in contempt. I didn't need his comm. I can get into any system. Jixie needed to take control of this conversation. She was all over the place and it wasn't helping. Had this person really killed people and stolen augments for years, or had they gotten that from using the comm to eavesdrop on the piecework killer conversation? About the only thing she was certain of was that this person had killed Greggy because they thought they could repair their own failing systems with his interfaces. She steeled herself and said, "You don't need to steal interfaces. We can get you help." They stepped closer again. Lies. I'm not lying, she said. The lunar government, the Mars Med Health Agency. The lunar government didn't murder me. Vision Space Dynamics murdered me. Their voice was a whisper of fury. They said the contract would be for 20 years. Do you know how long ago that was? Vision Space Dynamics went bankrupt and their assets went to IO Explorations, and then they were bought by Sideral, and then they went bankrupt, and then they sent the old equipment to recycling and told me to leave. It has been 76 years. Okay, that's not answering the question of why you haven't just gone to a hospital, but whatever. Who'd let this happen? Jixie wanted to say. Who does a thing like that? No wonder Piecework had thought being made a rover was like being murdered. The Luna and Mars government rovers had gotten support and refits and eventually pensions. Piecework had been discarded like an outdated appliance. Regardless, they killed Greggy, Jixie thought, and maybe other people. So yeah, we're literally just saying, ooh, imagine scary physically disabled serial killer who steals people's body parts. And the hero of the story is literally the only able-bodied person in the story. Written by an able-bodied woman. Great. What was that last sentence where I had a zigzag thing? They came here because they knew Greggy was an updated former rover and they had been waiting to catch him alone. But this was illness caused by deliberate negligence, by the rotting technology that some shitty, irresponsible corporation had left in this person's brain. It was monumentally unfair. If they had just been given the treatment they needed, this would never have happened. Greggy would want me to stop this, fix this. She said, "Tell me your name." She knew immediately she had said the wrong thing. Their expression turned cold. "Call me Piecework." "That's not your name, that's from an entertainment video." She tried to make her voice firm and reasonable. "We can help you. You need a hospital. You need a lawyer." Promises, promises. Corporation promises. Their voice had, and again, it's like Martha Wells. What? I will get into it. I'll get into it later. Their voice had changed in a way that sent ice through Jixie's chest. This conversation was almost over, and she hadn't done anything but make this person, Piecework, mad. Then behind Piecework, in the faint light from the lift foyer, Jixie caught a dark flash. I swear to fucking God. It took a second for her brain to process that it had been a brief glimpse of someone's dark hair. Somebody was in the access corridor adjacent to the lift, and they had just risked a quick peek through the hatch. The others had gotten the panic button transmission. They were nearby, and a flush of relief and renewed fear made her skin turn cold. If they were going to do something, she had to get out of Piecework's reach. "I'm not a corporation. This isn't a corporation station. We can get you help. Real help." Piecework watched her with narrowed eyes, and she thought her momentary freeze must have been obvious. She added, "That's what Greggy would want." It was true, and it distracted Piecework, making their mouth twist in a fury. And, I swear to God, that better be adults who are here to the rescue and not Lily again. She stepped back and sideways, away from the foyer. She knew she couldn't talk Piecework into surrendering. You've barely tried. You have not tried. She and the others would have to trap Piecework, wait for Base to get here, then get Piecework sedated and taken to a hospital. Also, you notice how Martha Wells went out of her way to say that this person is trained in de-escalating? But then that doesn't work because racism, ableism. Just go with police brutality, guys. De-escalation doesn't work. She said, "You didn't know Greggy. He would have wanted to help you. He never would have." Whether Jixie overplayed it or someone in the corridor made a noise, Piecework whipped around toward the foyer as Dubert and Sully charged in. They both brandished cutters. Dubert said, "You're trapped. Give up and we'll..." Also, I would like for somebody to pull out a heat ray at this point. Give me a disintegration ray. Give me a ray gun. They're not gonna, but they should. But Piecework lifted up, legs and arms extending, looming up over them. I don't understand what.
Getting menacingly taller.
Getting menacingly taller, but how? Piecework lifted up, legs and arms extending, looming up over them. Dubert and Sully pulled closer to each other, but didn't back down. Jixie ducked around them and stood beside them, facing Piecework again. "Just let us help you!" Jixie thought Piecework was going to attack, and Dubert would have to hit them with the cutter. What exactly is a cutter? Huh?
Lily's gonna come running in, and Piecework is gonna realize there's kids here.
It's called Kidland.
I used to be a kid.
Then there would be a melee here in the foyer that would go very badly for all four of them. But Jixie saw Piecework's eyes change for just a second, their expression going from anger to confusion. They looked down at her, and the confusion cleared. They spun, slammed a hand down onto the biometric panel, and the hatch slid open. Jixie shouted, "Hey!" which she was well aware was a dumb thing to do under the circumstances. But Piecework dove through, and the hatch slid shut behind them, even as Dubert and Sully surged forward. Also, what am I supposed to be imagining when we say that their legs and arms are extending? Are they just going up on springs? Dubert swore, and Sully said, "How did they do that? That was a biometric..." "They hacked the panel somehow," Jixie said, remembering the fluid on the plate. "Get it open!" She elbowed past Sully to the monitoring station and booted it. "You know what I would do if I were this serial killer? I would have stuck a thing on there that will copy the DNA of whoever touches it next, so that this completely fucking negligent person who needs to be fired smacking her hand on there to open the door is literally what gave them the key to open it. But I guess we're just saying, magical hacking instead. Where are they going? Sully said. I don't know. There's nothing. Jixie swore as the schematic appeared on the screen. There's a construction skid docked on the module. Dubar stopped up beside her. Can't be. I checked. They're all docked on the shaft. Jixie grimaced in dismay. Piecework was good enough to get through our command seals, hack our comm system. Moving a skid without leaving a log entry is nothing. Eject the skid off the station before they get aboard, Dubar urged her. Others were coming into the foyer behind her, but Jixie didn't look around, frantically running through the sequence to eject the skid. The monitors blinked into life over the panel, and a glance showed her piecework climbing through the foyer, one compartment away from the pod's hatch. If they get to the skid, Dubar was explaining to someone, they can take it around to the shuttle dock. Jixie's fingers flew, and just as piecework reached the outer lock, the disengage sequence started. The hull monitor showed the skid detach from the station and drift away. Jixie hit the all-ship comm. Please, it'll be okay. We can help you. She kept her voice calm. Please. After she started the conversation by antagonizing the person. Piecework looked toward the camera and said, clearly, I won't come back. Then they stepped through the hatch, and the lights blinked for the open cycle. Dubar swore, and Jixie stabbed the override frantically, but it didn't respond. Seconds later, the lock flushed, and she saw a figure tumble out into space. Jixie's breath froze in her chest. Then she slammed her hand on the console. Fuck you, Martha Wells. Some of the others were glad Piecework was dead because of Greggy. Others were just upset about everything.
Wait,
Jixie...
did Piecework just kill itself?
Yes. They just threw themselves out an airlock for no fucking reason.
Okay.
We are now on the last two pages of this story. Page and a half. Some of the others were glad Piecework was dead because of Greggy. Others were just upset about everything. Jixie felt like she'd failed Greggy again. And failed Piecework. Fuck you, Martha Wells. Somewhere among all the failing technology in Piecework's brain was a person who knew what they were doing to survive was wrong. Jixie was sure of it. There was no way she, Dubar, and Sully could have won that fight, and Piecework had run to keep from having to hurt them. Wild conclusion, but sure. But then the base patrollers showed up, and the first thing they did was send a security group to search the station top to bottom, and another to search the area outside the station for the body. Except they didn't find the body, or the repair skid. Jixie discussed this with Dubar and Shen Jin while sitting in the admin center with the door locked, nursing contraband cups full of gin that Sully had smuggled in from their last trip to Io Station. So not only do these people endanger children during an emergency, they are also smuggling in alcohol to a station that's supposed to be with kids when they're fucking sober is endangering children. Later, when things calmed down, Jixie talked to Lily. Sitting across from her in the admin center, Jixie explained what Piecework had said and done. Why? Why are you telling the child this? Lily listened quietly, and then said, Greggy would never have done that. If he hadn't been able to come live here and get his refits, he would still never have done that. Jixie agreed, but said, Greggy had advantages, like his retirement from the Luna government. I don't think we can understand what Piecework went through. They still didn't even know the rover's real name, and even if Vision Space Dynamics had left behind any public records online, they weren't likely to include anything about a private rover program that would have been illegal in most Earth jurisdictions. It doesn't excuse what they did to Greggy and anybody else they might have hurt. I know. Lily stood up, her expression thoughtful and troubled. How many more rovers like that do you think there are, Commander? Could we find them and help them? Jixie had been hoping Lily wouldn't ask that. If one old space exploitation company had had a rover program they had kept quiet about it, it stood to reason that there had been others. The fact that none had ever come forward to ask for help didn't bode well for their survival. Probably not, honey, but I don't think we can ever find out. Lily considered that for a moment. Maybe I can think of a way. One day. Jixie wouldn't bet against it. Maybe you can. When you do, come tell me. Jixie nodded and went to join the other kids, and that's it. That's over. So it's literally just a story of, what if we demonize physically disabled people, and now Martha Wells, the racist ableist fucking lady, is like, well, it's good to dehumanize physically disabled people, so what if I make the person in universe, what if I say that the person dehumanizing the physically disabled people is another physically disabled person that I describe in detail to make them seem scary, huh? Like, my God. My God. And again, that wasn't a conclusion. So yeah, it's literally just, let's demonize physically disabled people. Let's literally make up, and none of it makes sense. We can't find these people. You can put out announcements literally everywhere that says, we will help any rover who comes to us. We have all, like, what are you talking about? There's nothing we can do to help them. You can fucking put out announcements saying, we will give free fucking refits to anybody who needs them. We won't ask questions. You don't need to tell us your name. Don't need to tell us anything. We will just help you. Like, what the fuck? Also, look at this cover art. The cover art shows a red metal hand attached to a silver arm, and somebody floating in a little thingy, surrounded by floating globs of blood, except that's not Greggy.
I noticed that literally none of the art actually matched anything.
Yeah, that's not Greggy. Greggy is specifically not the one who has a prosthetic arm that's silver and red. That's Dubar, and at no point is that guy bleeding. At no point is he floating alone through a fucking tall hallway tunnel. So, like, what even is this art? It doesn't, it's literally not, it doesn't have anything to do with it. Also, this whole little thing is just interspersed with random art of, like, people having prosthetics and stuff. Like, the first one is, like, somebody with a prosthetic pelvis and leg, and then random, and then there's, like, a diagram of an eye, and it's like, okay, but, and then, I guess ribs or something. It's very generic. And it's like, what was that supposed to accomplish? Because Martha Wells is literally the one dehumanizing physically disabled people in the entire Murderbot Diary series. This doesn't fix anything. This just tells me that she knows for a fact that dehumanizing physically disabled people is wrong, but she's doing it anyways. This is literally telling me, yeah, I know it's wrong. I'm gonna do it anyways. Kind of like this Commander Jixie saying, yeah, I should push the emergency stop button right now and take 5 seconds to walk this kid back to the safety zone, but I'll just bring her with me. What's the harm? And, like, why did that even happen? It didn't accomplish anything except making this character criminally fucking negligent. Like, that was just fucking ridiculous. Any comments before I end the video? Besides...
now we know why she doesn't advertise about this.
Yeah, now we know why she doesn't advertise
this. World
this.
building for the Murderbot Diaries setup.
Now we know why she doesn't make this very easily findable on her fucking website. Because now, we know that she does in fact know for a fact that dehumanizing physically disabled people is wrong. She's just gonna do it anyways. Again, no actual descriptions of the setting. They are just in a blank void that has a different name in each scene, and also the illustration doesn't even match.
And way too many character names again.
So many characters, and then there's so many character names, but then we don't even get numbers of how many fucking people are in this goddamn space station? Like, how many adults were in that room where Lily kept escaping from? And why is she telling the child all of the stuff about the serial killer? It's just weird.
How old is Lily? Is she
Literally.
5 or is she 15?
How old is Lily? How old are these children? Because the start of the story is making them seem extremely fucking young. And also, why wasn't she, like, upset at them for being in the maintenance bay in the first place? Clearly an area that should be off limits to children unless they were having a class in there to teach them basic safety shit, which was clearly not what was going on. Like, what were they doing in there? This is a question that the character should have at least asked before all of the rest of this disaster took priority. Like, welp, that sure was something. Like, yep. Can't think of anything else to say besides now we know that Martha Wells does in fact know that it's wrong to fucking be ableist, but she's decided, I'm just gonna keep doing it anyways. It's fine. I'll keep doing it anyways. And it's literally just, ooh, what if there was a scary serial killer who's physically disabled and the only character who gets a real description just so I can say how scarily disabled they are, and then there's a serial killer who murders other physically disabled people and steals their body parts. And it's not even and the main character is literally able-bodied on purpose. And there's a big fucking point made about the main character being able-bodied because Martha Wells is so fucking ableist. That's, well...
Despite being the youngest person with zero experience and clearly fucking incompetent. It could have been a point.
Criminally incompetent. Like, this is not talking about ableism in any way. It's just fucking ableist. That's... I can't believe it just ends... Again, this is the exact same lack of fucking ending as what's it called? Rapport, friendship, solidarity, communion, empathy. Let me refresh this. I want to see that it's just for the record. Rapport, blah, 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 still has all the same typos. It's now been 11 days since this story was posted, and Lee Harris, who has signed their name as the editor, still hasn't fixed any of the blatant typos that everybody can see. Anyways, that's that. Well, yeah, I can't think of anything else to say besides... So, just the fact that now we know Martha Wells is aware that what she's doing is wrong, but she's just gonna keep fucking doing it anyways. Because if you have fucking missed the memo, Murderbot is a cyborg. Martha Wells confirmed that in 2019, the year after this thing was written. Murderbot is a cyborg. So are literally all of the other units, aka enslaved meat shields and sex slaves. They are all cyborgs. They're not robots. They're not Data from Star Trek. They are cyborgs. They're Geordi,
like
LaForge. No, shush. They're not Data. They're Geordi. They're not robots. But she is dehumanizing them and degendering them and deciding that they all must be non-binary because they've been mutilated to not have genitals. So therefore, they are all inherently non-binary because she doesn't actually care about non-binary people, despite Murderbot being non-binary. Except it's not trans, it's assigned non-binary at mutilation at birth. Because it doesn't have genitals. And then we're never actually talking about any of this because she wants us to just go along with the fact that, of course Murderbot's not human. It has prosthetics. It's disabled. It's a cyborg. She's literally still complaining in 2025 that people keep calling Murderbot human. Because don't you see? Murderbot's not human. It can't be human. It's not pure human. It's a cyborg. It's physically disabled and has prosthetics. And it's like, yeah, you are just saying literal villain shit. You are saying space Nazi shit. Like, and now she's not making it easy for people to find this, because you can literally give people links that they can just fucking click on. I did it in 2 seconds. You'll find the links in the description of this video in English and Spanish that just go directly to the download for the free PDF from the fucking publisher. But she doesn't want people to read this, because then they'll realize, hey, wait, she is aware of all of these things. So she is confirming that cyborgs are in fact human, and it's bad to say that they're not human, and it's bad to fucking degender them. And, wow. Yep, that's it. Bye-bye.